Okay, remember what I told you. Be your own boss. Love yourself. Get up and dance. Level up.
Level up, 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 level up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, watch me. Level up, 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 level up. All this on me so yummy, all this sauce so yummy. No, you want this yummy, yummy all in your tummy. Level up, 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 level up. All this on me so yummy, all this sauce so yummy. No, you want this yummy, yummy all in your tummy. Them old mistakes are gone, I won't do them no more. That's old news, that's new news. I done did that before. I turn nothing to something. My comeback on 100. Let's talk it, more action. You just gon' see coming. I just keep elevating, no losses, just upgrading. My lessons made blessings. I turn that into money. They gotta never settle. This view is so much better. I'm chilling, I'm winning, like on another level. Oh, you can talk all you want. See me as a prayer, nothing I'm afraid of, and I can have it all. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let go. Level up, 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 level up. All this on me so yummy, all this sauce so yummy. No, you want this yummy, yummy all in your tummy. Level up, 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 level up. All this on me so yummy, all this sauce so yummy. No, you want this yummy.
Mic check, 2 1 2. Blessed love and respect to you early birds, all of you who are already in the room. I can see Eva, I see Coach Tim, I see Brian, Coach Brian, Jency, who else? Jimmy, Kim, Landa, Julian. One of the things I love to do when I'm starting off any sessions with my clients, that is gratitudes and celebrations. So just drop in the chat. Let me know, what are you grateful for this morning? Or what can we celebrate together? Now, and if you were here yesterday and you were here and you engaged with some of the speakers yesterday, I want to know, what was your major insight? Drop any one of those in the chat and let's start vibing, because this morning we have another lineup for you that's going to really shake the house up. Yeah, that's going to really shake the house up. Let me just check in on the time. We have 1 minute to the hour, and I love to start exactly on time. Yeah. So as that hour starts, I'm going to be moving through the slide. But as we're here this morning, drop me some vibes in the chat. Let me know, where are you tuning in from? What are you grateful for? Or what can we celebrate? And if you were here yesterday, what was that one major insight that you grabbed onto that you know that was for you personally? And also, Ava is officially the first post to join the session this morning. So Ava, you are our official early bird. So cheers to you. Now let's get this party started. I want to officially welcome you to day 2 of our Level Up to Launch virtual summit. Now, yesterday, as I told you, that we had a group of speakers that delivered fully. We spoke about, love, music. We spoke about the habits of high performance leadership, as well as how to revolutionize your mind, as well as, what does it really take to really live into your passion and make an income from that. So these were the speakers from yesterday. And if you missed yesterday, I sent the replay to your email. So go ahead, check your email if you're already registered, and make sure you cover those sessions, because there's some insights inside there that I know would literally change your life. Now, today is another day, and this is the name of the game. If you hear something that you feel is really inspiring, I want you to use this hashtag in the chat and put hashtag inspiring and share with us what that is. Yeah. Also, if you heard something that was a golden nugget, like it was really an insight that literally blew your mind, I want you to share that in the chat as well. Hashtag golden nugget. So that way we can engage with each other. Because as my granny loved to say, when you teach, you're learning twice. So I want you to take advantage of these learning opportunities and share that gift with someone. Now, this is the ready game. Okay, yesterday we played the ready game and Mateo was the ready king. Yeah, so this is how the ready game is played. If you don't know how the ready game is played, I want you to listen. Now, this is how the ready game is played, and the winner of the ready game would win a one-on-one strategy session with me. Okay, so are you ready? Are you ready? Now, the first person to type hashtag I'm ready in the chat is going to win a one-on-one high performance strategy session with me. So let me see, who's the ready king or queen this morning? I'm ready. Ready, I see two. But we all know who's number one, and that is Tej. Tej, you're the ready king this morning. I'm ready from Dazzle. I'm ready from Jency. And this would be a challenge for you, Tej, because Tej, I know Tej and me, we're already working together. So Tej, this is what I'm going to ask you to do. I want you to gift that session to somebody who you really, really feel deserves it. Okay? But you are officially the ready king this morning, Tej. Now we have our ready king. We know who's really, really ready. And I'm super excited for this morning. And for those of you who don't know me, yeah, maybe a few of you who don't know me, my name is Dino Delplesh, and I'm a high performance coach. And this morning, I am officially your host. Yeah, and I'm on a mission to cultivate a passionate community of high achieving leaders and equip them with the tools, the support, and the accountability that they need to empower and inspire the next generation. And who's the next generation? I'm a part of the next generation. You're part of the next generation. My kids are a part of the next generation, and your kids as well. So that's the mission that I'm on. As I like to say, I'm dating one of the most beautiful women in Asia, and today she's also my co-host. So send her some love in the chat and help me remind her of that as I do every day. Also, another thing about me is that I'm from a beautiful island in the Caribbean called St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and you are officially invited. Okay, so whenever you're showing up in the Caribbean, please send me a message. Let's connect and let me hook you up. Okay. Another thing is the vision that I'm on. I want you to imagine a world. Imagine a world where every young high achiever has a high performing leader to guide them to success. Yeah. And my mission is to make that vision a reality. Yeah. By cultivating a passionate community of high achieving leaders and equipping them with the tools and the habit and the support that they need to inspire and empower the next generation of leaders. So that way, we can create a ripple effect to eradicate mental poverty and maximize abundance truly in our lives, in our family's life, and the next generation to come. Yeah. And that's why next month, the June, those of you who love to connect with us offline, yeah, I'll be popping up in Hangzhou on the 10th of June for Brunch and Connect. So I just want to throw that out there. So those of you who are in Hangzhou are close by, yeah, just look out for this because we're going to be popping up just to create some magic. Okay. And do you want to know a secret? Do you want to know a secret? Just lean in. Yeah, I really want you to lean in. And this is something that I openly hearted believe. And I want you to write this down because sometimes we forget. Yeah, alone you can go fast, but together we can go so much farther. So as you're joining this space with these leaders who are going to share with you, I want you to reach out. I want you to connect. Yeah, I want you to create a network of influence that's going to level up your entire world. And that's why you're here this morning, not just to receive the information and learn, but I want you to connect, to grow and learn. Yeah, and that's the cycle. That's the game that we're playing. Okay. And I want to see who's our action takers this morning. Let me see you in the chat. Hashtag action taker. Yeah, if you're committed to taking action on the insights that is going to be bestowed upon you, I want to see my action takers. See Janine action taker, Dazzle action taker. Let's get it. Yeah, because without action, there's no progress. Yeah, my favorite speaker, Jim Rohn, says that, wisdom that is not acted upon is wasted. Okay, so this morning, you're going to receive some wisdom from some very, very talented people. I want you to have that action-taking mindset. Yeah, because we want to take action with excellence. Okay. And remember, true learning doesn't happen in the collection of information, but in the execution of it. So as you're committing to be an action taker, I want you to remember this and write this down. Write this down. True learning doesn't happen in the collection of information, but in the execution of it. Yeah. And today, my goal, our goal as leaders, is to get you into more action that you can ever imagine. Every one of the speakers that will be showing up for you today, our goal is to get you into action. Okay? And what you're about to learn and do would help you become world-class, not only in life and in business. So I want you to really get excited about this. Get excited about how you're showing up powerfully for yourself, because we're going to rock the session this morning. Okay? But only if you commit. Yeah. So I want you to put your hand on your heart now. Yeah, we did this yesterday, and this is a commitment that you're making to yourself. Yeah. And I want you to listen to that silent voice. Yeah, I'm going to commit. I'm going to commit to doing the work. I'm going to commit to taking these insights and apply them. Yeah. Yeah. And once you've done that, seal the deal. Yeah, seal the deal with yourself, not with me, but with yourself. Okay. Okay. And this morning, yeah, today, we're officially your coach. We have Coach Tim, we have Jenny Jacob, we have Akil, Brian, and we also have Nan. And they're super motivated and passionate about the work that they're doing. And I know that the message that they have for you, yeah, will literally change your life. So I really want you to get comfortable where you are. Yeah, settle into your couch. If you're standing and you really want to feel the energy, just stand and feel where you are. Feel the energy of who you're becoming. Yeah, because these leaders, yeah, they're showing up for you powerfully. They're bringing 200%. Yeah, 200%. So I want you to shop with that same effort of engagement. And I wanted to remind you that I am proud of you because you choose to invest in yourself. So in the chat, this is what we're gonna do. I want you to find somebody, yeah, and you want to use the how to say, when you select one person and you want to send them that personal message and tell them that you're proud of them. Yeah, and you can send them in the chat so that everybody can see. Yeah, I'm proud of you, Julian. Yeah, I'm proud of you for showing up. Yeah, Tej, I'm proud of you. Yes, so send that message to someone, because we need to start celebrating actions like these. Action where we are taking intention to invest in ourselves. And I'm proud of you. So I want you to let someone know. If there's someone in the same environment as you, let them know that you're proud of them. Okay? Wonderful. Thank you so much, Yolanda. I really appreciate that. Yeah. I'm proud of you, Yolanda. Okay? And I also want you to stop comparing yourself. Okay? This is one of the bigger killers of your dreams, because you are perfectly unique. Yeah, so stop comparing yourself. Yeah, it serves no one. Okay? And remember that you will never maximize your potential in any area without a coach. And that's why we're bringing these coaches together to serve you. Because I know the impact that coaching has made on my life and that is continually making. And you would never maximize your own potential. This is usually life without a coach. Yeah? We usually try to swing for the goal and we mess up. Yeah? Have anybody ever felt like this? Like you're swinging and you just feel like you're ruining everything? This is usually life without a coach. And life with a coach, yeah, we're getting those rewards. We're winning those championships. And even when we're not winning the championships, yeah, we're still filled with that feeling of fulfillment, because we're consistently living in alignment with who we are and how we want to serve. That's life with a coach. Yeah, and I want you to imagine, who would you be today if you had someone holding you accountable to your full potential over the last 10 years? Who would you be? Yeah, like I can see that right now. Yeah, and I want you to see that for yourself. Yeah, like right now, who would you be? And now I want you to ask, who would you be if you have someone holding you accountable over the next 10? Because we're only getting started. You're only getting warmed up. Yeah. Okay. So this is what is required. This is what is required. The information that these coaches are going to share. Maybe you've heard them before. Yeah. But I want you to trust the process. Even if it's uncomfortable. Even if it's something you tried before. Yeah. Trust the process. Okay. The goal is not the destination. It's the journey. Also, I want you to make time. When you get that insight, you get that breakthrough, I want you to plug time in your calendar to start working, to start taking action. Because distractions, my friends, is going to stop you faster than anything else. Okay? And also, stop being the best kept secret. It serves no one. Today's your time to shine. Each of these leaders who are going to be sharing with you have their transformation story, and they can tell you from experience, yeah, that they being the best kept secret serve no one, especially themselves. So I want to ask that of you as well. Stop being the best kept secret. Okay? So you guys ready to go? Are you ready to go? Are you ready for the storm that is coming to you? Okay? We gotta get going. Okay, and just a reminder, if just before I forget, okay, my next cohort will be launching 2 weeks from now on the 23rd of May. Those of you interested, you can drop me the DM level up for your complimentary clarity session so that we can see if you're a great fit. Okay, take a screenshot of this and connect with your boy. Okay, now let's get ready for the first speaker. And now I've had the opportunity of meeting this young lady, and I know most of you have seen her before. And when you're in her presence, yeah, it's hard not to feel her energy. And I know that the energy that she is gonna bring is gonna literally shift not only the way that you're gonna think this morning, but it's gonna shift the way how you're gonna feel. Now, Jenny Jacob is a CEO of Full Potential Partners Shanghai, and she has accolades of experience that I can't even count on my fingers. And this morning, she'll be sharing on on how to rise to the challenges, how being resourceful can help you overcome any obstacle. And I know she's here with us in the group. I saw her, using her speedy fingers, and I just want to welcome you, Jenny, to grace everyone, with your presence. Good morning, Jenny.
Good morning, everybody. Hello from Zhengzhou, Henan province. I hope you can somehow see. I know the light is not the best, but yes, happy to be with you guys. How's everybody doing?
The best side.
Hi. Okay, let me start sharing my PPT and let's get it started. Let's use the next 30 minutes in the most efficient way. Okay. So today it's all about resourcefulness, and yes, welcome guys. Make sure you have pen and paper with you. This is going to be interactive, so you want to make sure you take some notes at the same time. Good, wonderful. Everyone's prepared? Good. So okay, now let's get it started. Make yourself resourceful for success, and resourcefulness is a key. Now, first of all, I want to tell you something. Look at this cute little picture. There's this cute little girl, and this cute little girl was growing up in Germany. And when she was a teenager, oh my gosh, she had so many kind of dreams. She wanted to study abroad, wanted to work in like international teams. I mean, she was not really born in a rich family or had like a huge network of resources. And when she was 14 years old, her stepdad actually committed suicide. It changed a few things in her family. Now, she got to listen to a lot of like weird conversations, including the family of her stepfather saying, that girl can never become anything. Why? She is just the daughter of an Eastern European woman. How could this girl become anything? Now, long story short, at one point, the girl went to university. No, she did not go to Tsinghua or Harvard. And the girl made it though. So basically, what these examples, we probably all have these examples. Either you in your life have experienced something similar, you may know friends who have a similar experience, or something else that happened in your life. However, should we keep ourselves from moving forward, from achieving our dreams, our goals that we want, and just say, no, we can't because of what happened in the past, or because I'm not rich, or because I'm not this or that? Or should we just say, I was about to say a bad word, I'm not going to say this, We're just going to say, you know what? It doesn't matter. Let's leave that in the past. Let's embrace these challenges and still do it. Agile. So this is what it is all about. And nowadays, of course, you may have guessed it. This is me today. Yes, I have studied still at good universities. I have studied in the US. I lived in France, worked in Finland before, worked for HP for 7 years. I have this corporate background, IT and business. And nowadays I have my own company in China for nearly 5 years now. Okay, now what does this have to do with resourcefulness? Now, what I quickly would like to show you actually is also, by the way, I've published a book here, have worked on this. These are a few companies I have worked with, but most of you guys already know me. So let's get straight to the point. What is my goal for today? Number one, I want you guys to understand what resourcefulness is and why it is so powerful. Nowadays, some of you like Victor know, I talk a lot about resourcefulness because I think this is the key to everything. Number two, of course, we want to get motivated and inspired by stories of resourceful people. So some people I'm learning from, I have met in person. I'll share these stories. And number three, I want you guys to take action from today in that session, because I want you to take the first steps towards you becoming resourceful. Okay, so number one, the question is actually, what is resourcefulness? Many of us are not English native speakers, so what exactly does it mean? Here you have a definition. I have just been asked if I open the curtain, if the light is better. Let's see. Is it too light or is it okay? Is that better? Okay. Yes, the light is here. So that's another resource, light. Okay, so number one, we're talking about the quality of being, of basically being good at finding ways of doing things. And here, keyword, solving problems. This is the definition number one from Oxford Learner's Dictionary for you, so that we all try to work and talk about the same topic. Resourcefulness could also mean, number two, the ability to make decisions and act on your own. So we have already learned, okay, resourcefulness is something about making decisions, problem solving, and acting on your own. Not your parents, not your teachers, not your wife or boyfriend or girlfriend. No, it's about you guys. It's about us here. So now that we know what resourcefulness is, what resources are we talking about? Write it in the chat, guys. Like, what resources are we now talking about? And I know everyone's gonna say money. That's probably the first thought you have. So don't write down money. I want to hear other kind of resources that we're talking about here. Yes, network. Thank you, Tej. People, connections, mentors. Thank you, Ole, connections, books, chat GPT, Akil, I like that. Internet, web, willpower. Thank you, Victor. Mental skills. Yes, 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 yes. I love it. Positive emotions. Yes. And the list can go on and on and on. I have just listed a couple of topics or resources myself that are kind of like maybe obvious. Capacity of problem solving, confidence, Jency. Yes, thank you, Yolanda. Love it. Also here, creativity. We have the creativity team in our call here, Miss Alicia. I actually learn a lot of creativity and I get a lot of new resources when it comes to creativity, just like by working with her, being coached by her, being a friend, just being a friend of hers. I get so much creativity nowadays. So she really helps me to actually improve my resourcefulness when it comes to that resource of creativity. Also, don't forget knowledge, time, right? And time is precious. Support, as you said, it could be connections, network, self-awareness. I'm here in Zhengzhou for a whole weekend, and we actually have this 15th Women's Symposium. So for the second time, I'm actually a speaker here. The topic is leadership, equality, and diversity. Now, one of the things that some of the keynote speakers spoke about is actually self-awareness. Have you thought about self-awareness being a resource? That is actually the basis, because if you don't know what you want, who you are, then something is missing. There's already a gap even when you're starting. That's why it's good to join Dino's events as well. And then, of course, we have a lot of tools, any kind of tools. It could be machines, it could be a charger, a pencil, I don't know, whatever you need. And of course, don't forget about your energy. We talk about time management often, but we also talk about energy management. You have limited energy. You got to be smart about how you use the resource of energy, right? Okay, now we know what resources we have, and I would like to share one study result with you. So we want to become resourceful, but there was also actually studies about it. And I was like, when I gave the TEDx speech, and Victor, he was there too, I spoke about this topic, and I started like to create, to do some research about what does science say about resourcefulness. And here's the fun thing. There's actually not that much existing about the topic of resourcefulness yet. Even not many TEDx speeches. Sure, we talk about success and happiness, but resourcefulness seems to be different. And here, fun fact, many of us, we are in China and we have gone through the Shanghai lockdown as well. So this study actually was done in Shanghai, in China, with like the medical front staff who helped us during the COVID times. And basically what they did, they were just thinking, if we give the medical front staff an online training about resourcefulness, could that make a difference? Could that make a positive like impact when it comes to like a couple of different factors? So they did like 3 kind of measurements, long story short. And basically what they found out with these 60 participants, hey, the result is that online resourcefulness training, and right now we're actually having an online resourcefulness training ourselves, it can significantly improve the resourcefulness, the resilience, and positive response scores. And it's not even done yet, effectively even reduce anxiety and even depression scores of these frontline medical staff. And we were all dependent on these frontline medical staff during the lockdown, right? So we actually or the government needs to make sure that they are doing their best. And I know they have been doing their best, right? And it was not an easy situation. But now that they took this easy training about resourcefulness, they're doing even better. And they're less anxious, less depressed, and more resilient, so they can do an even better job for the 26 million other people in Shanghai and in other cities, right? And it's just one tiny example. So that's why I'm so proud that nowadays and today, thanks to Dino, we have this online resourcefulness training ourselves. Now, next one. Let me ask you, what are the most powerful outcomes of a person that is resourceful? Please write it in the chat. I'm gonna quickly copy paste it here. The most powerful outcomes when you are resourceful. Here, I want to see your answers, guys. I'm gonna wait before I read it out loud. Okay. Ooh, so many good ones. Okay. Love it. Anything else that is on your mind? So we have confidence, financial success, more abundance, empowered, more happiness for everyone around. Tech, I love that. More passionate relationship. Oh, I like that you talk about relationships too. Nice. Joy, more options, healthier communities, fulfillment, endless possibilities, laughter's better world. Creating opportunities, not only oneself, but for others as well. Beautiful. Thank you so much. I try to summarize a few more opportunities and connections. Yes, love it. Great, for sure. Also, we spoke about resilience already, right? More resilience, it's easier for us to overcome any kind of challenge. And I tell you this, when I started my company, the first summer was tough in Shanghai. Everything that worked before was suddenly not working out anymore. And then basically, I also had some visa issues. And at one point, I didn't even know how to pay my rent next month. And you're going to be laughing. I really didn't know where the food would come from next week. And I know it sounds crazy because people think, oh, she's German, oh, she's living in a city like Shanghai, but I don't have these rich parents. But hey, you know what? I overcame those challenges. I made it happen that from week to week, I still had some food and I was able to pay my rent at the end. And it's so funny. I spoke to a classmate this week. He just started his own company in Berlin now. And one of our common friends told him, and I totally forgot about this. One time we were meeting in Germany and we were just walking around doing some sightseeing, like old friends from school. And I remember this moment. It's about 4 years ago. I got that message on my phone. I just got that client. And at that moment, literally on the streets, while we were walking there, I bursted out in tears. I went down on the floor because I was just so relieved. And my friend had told our other friend who's starting his company about it, and I forgot about it. And she said to him, Janine got a message. She just got a client and knows how to pay her rent next month. And she was just crying on the street because all the pressure was just so relieved in that moment, right? And no matter what, if you learn how to be resourceful, no matter how challenging situations are, and we all have had our COVID stories and our life stories and so on, but you can tackle it. Things get a little bit easier for resourceful people. Number 2, increase productivity is another powerful outcome here. And we have greater confidence. You've mentioned this, improved problem solving skills. You become better in finding solutions and trying out different solutions. Enhance adaptability. And I think as we all live in China, we constantly have to be flexible and adapt to new situations, not just during COVID times, but in general. Number 6, increase creativity and so on. We build resilience. If I have to sum this up, we actually, like, the most powerful outcome here is we have an ability to achieve goals and succeed in personal and professional life, both. And you know me, Ted, Victor, some of you guys, Dino, Dessel, you know me. So I do not only want to have peak performance because I'm a peak performance coach. No, I want to combine. I want to make you successful, but at the same time, I also want happiness for you. So I really always want to combine both. And it is a game changer if you're already also happy to become successful. Now, resourcefulness seems to be the key here. Long story short, we now know why it is so good and what we can do with it and what resources we're talking about. I'm about to share a few examples with you from the people I learned from. But now I want to ask you, how can you make yourself resourceful? We know what it is, but how do I make all of this now happen? Well, we're not going to have a brainstorming with 3 people, but just use the chat now. I'm going to wait for more answers here. So happy to see so many familiar faces here this morning. Let's wait for more. Okay, so how do we make ourselves more resourceful? Connect with more people. Wait, I'm wondering where did it start now? Ooh, so many answers now. Learn, connect, and create. Oh, wait, where did we start now? What was the first message? Ask for help, connect with more people, level up your network, engage in meaningful conversations. Yolanda said, putting myself into a situation where my resources are necessary. Work with an expert or coach. Yes. Write down your roadblocks and question them. Thank you, Akia. Reading books from some of the great people. Yes. Ole, self-clarity, open-minded, strong heart to play with challenge. Yeah, I like play with challenge. I can see you have a growth mindset. You're embracing the challenge. Yes, give it to me. Give me a new challenge. Yes. Also, people who have a lot of money, they get bored at one point. So they go from challenge to new business to start, for example, or new industry to work in. Help others, contribute, learn, connect, create, share what you know with others, be a mentor to others, stay open-minded and keep learning. Assessing our resources. I think I'm just gonna let you guys continue this webinar by yourselves. I think you don't need me. Sounds beautiful. I love it. Thank you. Okay, good. Now, you know my coach, JT Fox, I often like to talk about him. Nobody's perfect, right? But there's a lot of things that in the last 6 years, I got to learn from him, and I'm very grateful. And he always says that business or life, it takes this one person, one deal, one opportunity, change your life and your business completely. And many of you have heard me say this in many webinars. And again, I want to remind you. Why? Because I'm often reminding myself about this. Right now, I'm in Zhengzhou. I'm like giving speeches next to like executives from FedEx, for example. We have the IPWS women here from the Women Network. We have such amazing people here. A serial entrepreneur who flew in from the US. And now, again, I want to remind myself in every situation, how can I make myself resourceful in the best possible way in these 2 days in Zhengzhou while I give my speech, while I spend breakfast with them, while I have like thousands of students around me at the same time? How can I make them more resourceful? How can I become more resourceful? Because there could be this one opportunity, this one person right here, right now, or right in front of me in this Zoom call. You never know. So think about this. And what JT did is he came from Canada. He didn't have, he had like debt of like, I think 18,000 US dollars. And when he came to the US, he was thinking about, I don't really have the money to start a business. But he had other resources. So the resources you have at that specific level, just use it. And he was like, okay, he started talking to several people because he found apartments that he wanted to buy and then sell for money, for example, refurbish or so. So he found the people with the resource of money, investment. He made sure he gave a really good deal with them and create the trust. And then he performed, of course. And then he literally sold the apartment for more because he brought in the resource of brain and connections and selling and whatever it needed. And from there, he went one level higher, and every time you get more resources at the same time. So another thing that he often like says is, and this comes to our resources, worry less about being perfect. Don't be German and 150% quality perfectionism. No, think fast and make fast decisions. Do you remember our definition in the beginning? It was about decision making. So he really says 1, 2, 3, make a decision, move on, delegate, move on. And I try to follow this. I'm still working on this. This is another of the resources and skills and knowledge I want to learn. Sometimes it does not always work out that well, that I make a decision in 3 seconds, but don't waste too much of your time. If you made a mistake, okay, then you just like work on it and there's probably a workaround or plan B or so. But this is how he basically nowadays has 58 companies in several countries, and he has to make fast decisions, right? And your gut feeling actually knows the right decision very often within like milliseconds. Also, what he says, small, massive improvement. And Dino is a really good person who also like does it with you. Instead of overthinking and taking massive action, take tiny action. Every day, 1% of improvement. One sit up more every day. It's better than nothing. Okay, now I want to share a few of these stories of these people that I met in person at the conference in the US in November. And some of them I have been learning from for years now. And this is only thanks to JT, because nowadays he's so resourceful that he is surrounded by millionaires, multimillionaires, billionaires, and even gives his client access to them so that we can literally learn from them. And I would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to learn from these people online. And now I had a chance to meet them. So a few more tips I want to give you from them when it comes to resourcefulness. Now, the person who actually inspired me to come up with programs and talk about resourcefulness is this former, no, this sounds bad. I shouldn't formulate it like this, but Steve Eck, who you can see with this very special kind of hair. And if you look at him, you would already judge, maybe because of the hair, but he actually is now a multimillionaire. But he was like not the best educated. He didn't go to Harvard. He didn't have a university degree. He was a drug addict and worked in a company later on in a factory and so on. But nowadays he's a multimillionaire. So that's why I'm saying, like, I try to learn from self-made millionaires who made it from the bottom to the top. And he's the kindest man ever. And into arts nowadays, he is an amazing person, really. You can check him out on Instagram. And what he says, in order to become rich or successful or live a happy life, first know what you want. Self-awareness, that's the resource. Also, set goals. If you don't have goals, you're not going to achieve your goals. And then analyze, what are the obstacles? How can you like get around to achieve your goals? Also, he says, work on your communication skills. It made a difference for him. That's what he said. And also, like, so how do we now make money? Because at the end, we do care a lot about money, but how do we make money without resources? This is what he said in his webinars when I started to spend more time with him and learn from him also online. Make yourself resourceful. And when he said this, it clicked. Everything started from me meeting him in person and then joining more of his webinars where he said exactly this word. Make yourself resourceful. And actually, everything we talk about is resourcefulness. Yes. And this is Steve Eck nowadays. And I would like to share another example here. You probably know Oprah, right? Who knows Oprah? I mean, she's a role model for me, to be honest. Yes, of course. And I actually met her husband already a couple of times now. He's an amazing leadership coach. And what he says is like when it comes to resourcefulness, he's saying, hey, you're not going to change your mind until you change yourself. The key is to work on you. So again, it's starting with you, not other people. And also he's saying, know who you are and what you want, your identity. Don't define yourself through your partner or your parents or so. And also support others. Don't be jealous, support others. Now, I want to share one more example with you here. Billionaire Fred Fishback. He sold his medical company for a very big amount of money. And nowadays is also an amazing coach, helping a lot of entrepreneurs to scale. And again, he mentions here, change your mindset. Another thing that he's like, and even he says, smile often, and don't forget here, business is human relationships. Learn to master relationships when it comes to your skills. Learn to not only communicate, but also to work with people, to master relationships. These are all kind of resources that all these people are dropping in there. So the key is resourcefulness. Now, I have tons of other content for you now, but let's sum this up. 10 practical strategies to become resourceful. Number 1, network with people. You've mentioned this. Number 2, work on your growth mindset. Don't have a fixed mindset. Be open to embrace challenges. Be open to get and ask for feedback. Acquire new skills. You just heard me say so many different skills you can work on, like communication skills, that these successful people have actually mentioned and that I've also learned from them. Practice creativity. If you need a creativity coach, contact Alicia. She's the person. Number 5, adopt and adapt to change. Number 6, learn to prioritize. And I was just saying, like, before I came to this event, I wrote down my goals of why I came to this event and why I wanted to be a speaker here during this event in Zhengzhou and Hunan. It's not Shanghai or Beijing. I had to travel here, and I prioritized. I have my goals. I prioritized which people I want to meet and so on, which also brings you to be organized. So I actually took this book here, and I read through this booklet for the weekend, and I organized myself with my schedule and who to, like, again, meet first and to talk to, for example. Next one here, utilize technology. We have enough cool apps to organize our priorities, our to-dos. We have calendars. We have so many great apps. Just use them. Number 9, use time efficiently. And number 10 that I want to mention, seek feedback, which goes back to here, growth mindset. Okay, long story short, now it's for you guys to take action. I'm afraid we don't have enough time for this, so please take a screenshot. I'll make sure that if you are in the group chat, I will also share it in there. But basically here, I have these 6 questions that I want you to write down, okay? Write them down, find your answers. This is the first way of how you can take small action today to become more resourceful. And you can really ask yourself, what means being resourceful to you? Dasso will have a different definition than Akil, for example. And then ask yourself, what's your goal in life or career? But I'm sure many of you have their goals set and written down. Number 3, what resources do you already have? Stop complaining. Stop being French or German. I'm just kidding, guys. No offense here. But I don't want you to complain. Think in solutions. Remember problem solving. So what resources do you have? These ones you can already utilize, like JT Fox did, to get to the next level. He didn't have the money, but he had other resources here. Number 4, how can you leverage these resources? Number 5, because I think actually one resource gives you access to another resource. Number 5, what resources are missing? And number 6, what could be possible if you were resourceful? So I hope you took a picture of that. Yes. Good. Last but not least, I want to share a quote here by Tony Robbins. Success is not about your resources. It's about how resourceful you are with what you have right here, right now. And just these people who are here in that calm are extremely resourceful. You have a question, you need help, reach out to somebody, get yourself a coach, a mentor, a new friend, whatever it is, or just ask. And here, this group already that Dino brought together, they're so resourceful. So take action of what you have access to, all the resources you have. And then you can get to the next level, I'm pretty sure. And talking about resourcefulness, here is some really good news I want to share with you, because with my friends Alicia and some other guys, we are going to organize the first ever mega mixer happening in Shanghai. So finally, we got the tickets out. You can get your 10% discount and your super early bird. I hope to see you all on Saturday, May 27th in Shanghai from 5 till 9 p.m. We're going to have about 200 people, not only from Shanghai, coming together from different communities. Different people, so diverse. Make new friends, get new resources, get your ticket now. 10% discount, guys. We even have an after party included. If you want to dance with me a little bit later on. Yes, Dino Desso, you have it in your calendar for weeks already, right? And also you can have like prizes. We have so many cool people. Rooftop in central Shanghai, great drinks, music, DJ. And the cool thing is, here's the differentiator. We created a directory. So we have different people. You get access to people's people, like why are they there. You will be able to see who's there, who to connect in the best possible way. So we have so much offer. Get your ticket now, only 10%. I see you on May 27th. Last but not least, if you want to work on your resourcefulness, I have this great program. And if you have questions, you can also ask Tetch about it. So instead of paying 1,888 RMB with this discount code ACTION, you can get it for 888 RMB. And literally all the learnings I have in there are from these people here that I have mentioned today: self-made millionaires, multimillionaires, and billionaires. Okay, I'm running out of time. Feel free to connect with me, follow my account, connect with me on WeChat. I'm also in a group chat. Thank you so much to Dino for having me, and I'm giving it over to you, and I have to go to a conference now.
This was so amazing. Guys, what did I tell you? What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you she's going to bring the storm? Yeah, and she did. So that whatever insight you grabbed onto, grab the flyer. It's going to be in the chat. Mega Mixer. I remember, it's all about being resourceful. Yeah, it's not about the resources. We have abundance of information. Yeah, and I brought a superstar here to tell you the truth that you may have already known, but you have now been reminded of. And I want to thank you so much, Janine. I want to thank you for bringing the energy, and I want to thank you for bringing your body of work. And you said something very interesting when you started. You said that, you know, the universities that you went to, and I believe that your body of work, it's already a university. Yeah. So guys, reach out, connect, and let's level up together. Okay, guys, that's been a lot to take in. So I just want you to take a deep breath in and stretch. Oh, and as you exhale, I want you to relax, because I know relaxation comes easy to you because you've relaxed before. And we have another speaker, yeah, another coach who's gonna rock the house. And this is somebody who I've had the privilege of meeting quite recently. And I think this was a serendipitous moment, yeah, to meet this person. Yeah, because we have quite a lot in common. We have so much in common that our birth dates are in the same month and date, which is super crazy. Yeah. Have you ever met someone, yeah, that is so weirdly like you, but you're from two different parts of the world and you're born on the same day? Now I'd like to introduce you to my great friend, yeah, Coach Tim. Yeah, Coach Tim is a wellness and lifestyle coach, and he has an abundance of experience in this area. And today we're going to have a conversation around the modern fitness for modern times. Yeah, how can busy professionals stay healthy and fit in today's world? And I know he's on the call already, and I'm super excited for this conversation. I just want to shout you out, Tim. Tim, how are you doing this morning?
Mate, I'm doing really, really well. I'm just making sure my microphone's working, everything's all good.
Awesome, awesome. And I'm gonna ask Dassel to pin us to the screen so that we can get this conversation going, so that you can share with us. Yeah, you can share with us what you have been up to and how you've been up to it.
I was hoping to actually be outside today to share the weather with everyone, but it's actually not very good today. It's pissing down rain here in Shenzhen, so inside instead.
Well, I think the first question I have that everyone would be very curious about is, you know, your journey personally. Yeah, you've had over 20 years or even more, yeah, in this space. So you've seen a lot. So what I'd like to know is, tell me a bit about your journey, yeah, with health and wellness.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Yes, I mean, similar to some of the other coaches that spoke today too, I mean, I've come from a different background. So obviously being Australian, moved overseas, been living overseas for about 19 years now in various countries. So it's been great for trying to learn new cultures, learn different things. But obviously as I moved overseas for a corporate job, did that for about 20 years, and then obviously the stress and everything else. So like most people, that's where I started trying to look for other things to try and look after myself and whatnot. So that's where fitness sort of came in, and started looking at fitness for myself and get myself, improve myself. And then as that job sort of got more and more stressful, I decided, no, something has to change. Like this can't be sustained. This is not a sustainable lifestyle. So then started looking at other options, and then I actually connected with my first coach. So I had a lifestyle coach or life coach that I connected with and went through a lot of the different things of what I was going through and whatnot. And then she's basically said, well, you seem to be so interested in fitness. Why isn't that something you should, consider as a career? So that's then sort of pivoted my career and moved into fitness and wellness. So, and it's been fun. It's also, same as what Janine was saying, it's always about trying to be resourceful and find new things. So finding a new challenge is always fun. You start learning new stuff, you start chasing in more information. So yeah, I basically just followed all the way through, went through standard personal training, moved more into wellness, into functional training, moved into rehab training. So brought in lots of different aspects. But at the end of the main goal of the whole side of that sort of thing was to try and find ways to make it more sustainable, but also to live a longer and healthier life. I didn't want to be one of these people that got to, 60, 70, 80 years old and be relying on other people to then try and look after me to do everything every day. I wanted to make sure I was still doing everything on my terms and on, in my own motivation. So it's the main reason for sort of choosing fitness as well. So, yeah, it's been good. It's been a good journey. So
Yeah.
happy to sort of share all of that with people today as well. So yeah.
And it's interesting to see, how your life has flowed throughout the years. And, it's like you met this particular lifestyle coach. Was it interesting? And I can imagine at that time, the term lifestyle coach wasn't something that is popular for us now. So I can just imagine in my head, you meeting this lifestyle coach. I'm like, lifestyle coach? I thought that term is pretty new. So my question to you is, what was that catalyst that really inspired you to really get started? Like, what really gave you that?
Yeah, I mean, even now, I mean, people hear lifestyle coach and wellness coach, and I suppose in most people's minds, and probably can even ask, maybe I'll ask the question to the audience or everyone that's listening today. If you think of wellness, what would you think you would be, getting from a wellness experience? What would you be trying to improve? And I'd just be curious what people's comments are, and we'll keep chatting while they're throwing some of those comments in there. But yeah, moving into the wellness and obviously lifestyle type thing, for me, it was more about just trying to find balance. It was more about just trying to de-stress from the busy job I had, trying to come back and do things more on my own terms and my own, do things to improve myself and look after myself. And then obviously as I did that, I learned more, and there's more people coming to me asking me questions as well. So it became something that I said, you know what, there's a lot of people interested in this. I should be able to share this and started trying to look at more of the coaching aspects of that lifestyle coaching. And it was obviously it's been a tough journey because it is an industry that's still growing and it's still not really well known. Most people, when you talk health and wellness, think nutrition, think fitness, but there's a lot of other aspects in there that are missing. So, and that's one of the things I like sort of work with clients as well. So yeah, it's been different. I'm just looking to see if anyone put comments. I saw a Q put one in there as well. So yeah. So to answer the question, I think wellness for me is more balanced. It's balancing your lifestyle. It's really trying to make sure that you've got, your sleep's good, your stress levels are good, you're maximizing your time, which I've heard that used quite a lot through a lot of the other coaches too, maximizing your time, using time efficiently. So really trying to make sure you're really using those to your benefit. The other one too is obviously, taking time to find gratitude, which I know you're a huge fan of. Every time we do these, you're talking about gratitude. So gratitude is the biggest one you can try and call on. So if you're trying to improve your lifestyle, it's taking that time every day to try and find the value in each day, trying to find what's worked for you, who's helped you get there, who you shared something with that's got benefit from something you've shared every day. So all of those things come back to help you with your lifestyle and your balance. So yeah,
that's really powerfully shared. And the reason why that's so powerfully shared is a few things I pulled out from what you said. You said, being in a stressful, busy job, you are always finding ways how you can navigate that. And then you end on the point of, gratitude and time management. And, sometimes we can see how, these practice affects us managing, these busy and stressful, jobs that we've been placed in. And, it's very interesting. Last week, I had a conversation with another coach, and she said something very, very interesting that really jumped out to me. She said, and we were talking about burnout, and she said that, stress is not burnout. Stress leads to burnout. Yeah. And today there's a large group of people who are literally burned out and they think they're stressed. Yeah. Now, my question for you is, I'm just, the reason for this question, I really want people to see this picture and see how relatable it is.
Yeah.
What would you say, being in your professional corporate days, what would you say was the hardest thing or the biggest challenge you had to overcome? Yeah, when it comes to taking yourself maybe out of such stressful situation personally.
Yeah, it's actually a very simple answer now that you look back and reflect on it. But it's being comfortable to let go. It's being able to say that, you know, not everything can be perfect. Not everything has to be perfect. You know, you don't have to please everybody. You don't have to finish all those sorts of things. You can actually say, you know what, no, I'm going to take time for myself instead. So, I mean, a lot of the time people fear the consequences of making that decision, but a lot of the time that consequences are all made up in their head. There is no consequence anywhere else other than in their head. So it's the biggest one. So, but yeah, the stress. I mean, what you said too, the stress sort of thing too is a big one. It's one of the ones I work on a lot with a lot of the clients I work with, and it's also identifying the types of stress that are out there too. I think a lot of people put stress on the factor it's just the work. My work's too much. It's just creating stress. But there's a lot of other factors that create stress, you know, and you know, all that sort of stuff in your body, in your mind, in your day. It's, you know, the types of foods you're eating, the types of activities you're putting yourself. It's the type of friends that you're associating with. It's the job you're doing. It's how you're using your time. It's a lot of factors that create stresses on your body, and it's you know, it's a conglomeration of all of those stresses together that end up, like you say, lead to that burnout. And having been there myself, yeah, definitely know the feeling. It's not pleasant. So. So I think for most people that are in that corporate job now, I mean, the biggest thing they can try and do now is try and find a little bit of that slice of time each day to try and find gratitude for themselves and time out for themselves. So mini breaks is one thing I try, and clients I've worked with know this one really well. It's trying to find those little mini breaks in every day. Everybody looks forward to taking a holiday. So they plan for the holiday, they get everything for the holiday, and they cash in everything for this big holiday. They go away and then they jam everything they possibly can to the holiday, and then they come back to even more exhausted before they left. So they haven't actually taken time to actually let go and relax and let their body recover. So if you take more time each day and find, like, going and getting a coffee and just putting your phone down and just, you know, taking in the sights, or going for a walk, or going whatever, take that, you know, 5, 10, 20 minutes every day for yourself and enjoy it and really be in the moment. It'll go a long way to sort of bringing those stress levels down every day. So
yeah, and I want to
my biggest one. So
I really want to hit the nail on what you said at the beginning about, you know, letting go. Yeah, and the word that just popped in my head was boundaries, and it's easy to say, yeah, but sometimes it's really hard to do. Yeah, so what were some of the biggest lessons that you learned personally in terms of really getting to that place where, you know, you can let go of these things that you believe that if you let go of them, you know, there's the consequences. And you mentioned the thought in the head as well, which is, you know, a whole other role. But I really want to hit on that point, because I know a lot of people struggle with taking that action there.
Yeah, I mean, some of the insights for me, like you said, because I've had the job, so I've done that. I've done the long hours. I was living overseas, so there's obviously the stresses of living overseas, which I'm assuming a lot of us here are doing the same thing too, moving to new countries, having to sort of deal with living in the new country, languages and everything else as well. So I mean, that's another stress as well. I'm trying to narrow into just a few things to try and think how to try and tell people what's the best one to. If you're trying to de-stress and you're trying to, and someone else mentioned it, a good stress as well, which I think is correct as well. I mean, having stress obviously leads to change, leads to courage to try and make change as well. So using stress is obviously a positive in some ways as well. But I think that, well, I suppose the other one is try to own it. Take ownership of what you're trying to do. Own that stress. Like, are you creating the stress yourself? Is the stress given to you by somebody else? Or is it something you have control of? And try and really sit down and identify the stresses you've got in each day and find out which ones of those can you quickly make changes for yourself. Which ones of those can you actually use to try and improve some other aspect of your life as well? Is it a stress, or is it something you're just creating as a stress? Is it maybe a challenge that you're seeing from the wrong way and making it a stress point, but it's actually a challenge that if you embraced it and ran with it, could actually lead to some other paths and give you some other opportunities. So there's various aspects like that when it comes to the stress side of things. So yeah, for me, I think that was one of the ones me personally I had to go through. Growing up as a very anxious kid, very, you know, overthinker, doing lots of things like that. Moving overseas was probably one of the biggest challenges, but also one of the best ones for me to try and get away from that. Having to, you know, speak languages, try and get used to new cultures, set up a new home, do all those sorts of things. So it's been a good journey. It's helped me sort of find myself a lot more too to overcome those things. So it's using those challenges. Make sure you use them to try and benefit from them.
Yeah. I love that. I really love that. And what I love most about that in what you said is you gotta own your stress. Yeah, and figure out where is it coming from? Is it coming from something outside of me or something inside of me? And I just glance
Exactly.
my
Most of the time, 90% it's
90%.
90% it's inside.
90%, I think I'll say 100% of the time it's inside. I see Charles said in the chat as well, good stress should be used correctly and bad stress should be let go. Yeah, and it's there's some
Exactly.
fine
Definitely let go.
yeah. Some really fine distinctions there. Oh, what's the greatest advice, yeah, you'll give to someone who's listening who really want to create, healthier lifestyle, as a busy professional?
Yeah.
Because I think that, professionals are some of the people who find a hard time doing this. And not only their career, family as well is a big part of their paradigm that they got to manage.
Yeah.
So take that into consideration.
Yeah.
What's the best advice, you'll give to someone who's listening around that?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question. I had a question to put at the beginning, but we'll throw it out there now. So obviously everyone starts looking around fitness, wellness, and nutrition and things like that. But I want to ask everyone else out there too, what do they think is the one thing that they can start right now that would be the most effective to improving their lifestyle? I mean, we're going to discuss a few things now, but I'd be curious to know what everyone else thinks. What's the one thing? What's the one thing you think you could do right now, whether it's nutrition, whether it's doing workouts, whether it's changing jobs? What's everybody's thoughts on this one? But obviously trying to help most clients that come to me. So a lot of people come to me obviously trying to look at fitness, and the fitness is the main one, because a lot of people think that working out is the answer, which working out is definitely a component you need to improve, to put into your life, because fitness obviously improves mindset, improves wellness of the body, things like that as well. But a lot of people, I think, are drawn to the fact of fitness being just for losing weight. And that's probably one of the biggest misconceptions I think most people have is, and they put this tag on it to say that it's only to lose weight. So there's a certain goal that's expected once they start doing fitness. So one of my biggest challenges when I start working with most clients is to start to try and not re-educate them, but try to start getting to see it from different aspects, see what fitness can bring to them other than just to lose weight. To setting up a sort of a schedule every day, so you become more routine driven. So you've got certain things you're allowing for, to improving mindset, to improving obviously posture, improving sleep. Doing fitness and things like that obviously improves cardiovascular, which leads to better sleep. Better sleep can then lead to less stress, things like that as well. So I mean, there's a lot of other aspects to it too that we need to try and make sure we're focusing on. And then there's obviously nutrition, which most people again go to the extreme and look at challenges or look at extreme diets and things like that to again lose weight. But then nutrition is also about fueling your mind and fueling your day and fueling your body. So there's a lot of other aspects to it as well. So I mean, fitness, nutrition obviously are two very big factors. But then again, let's looking at so I'm going to jump across and look at some of the messages people put in there too. But eating healthy, nutrient-dense foods, cutting out junk food, daily movement, yoga, meditation. Meditation's a great one. Yeah, so there's all those sorts of things too, which come into the day. But then you put other factors. So we talked stress already. So stress is obviously got to be reduced. We've got to look at improving our sleep. Sleep is probably one of the biggest ones most people sort of lack or try to improve on. The quality of sleep, your length of sleep, your sleep routines, what you're doing before you go to sleep, all those things all improve it as well, which then improve your day. So sleep's obviously a big factor in there. Then there's stress we spoke about, balancing your work and your home life as well. So as you said, families are super important. So trying to make sure we're bringing family life in there. So coming back to, do you mean what you were saying to your question is like, what's the one biggest one that to try and people can sort of focus on, the quickest takeaway? For me, it's coming back to time and energy. So for me, you've got to try and maximize your time. And I know a few other coaches have said this already as well. Like time is one of your most valuable resources. And most people overlook time and how they use their time. So it's a matter of, and I've worked this with my clients too, is we sit down and we literally go through, instead of just doing a food diary, we'll sit down and we'll do a time diary for 3 or 4 days. And we'll look at what they're actually going through on a day-to-day basis and where they're using their time. And it's actually quite interesting to see a lot of people's, obviously different age groups and different things as we do change, but a lot of social media comes in now. The amount of time people spend on social media, drawn down the rabbit hole, as they call it, and they waste a lot of time, which they think is downtime, and they think it's recovery time, but it's not actually effective because you're not actually connecting with the moment. You're not actually bringing in and actually, making use of that time to make sure that you're recovering properly. To me, it's like it's brainless activities that you've wasted that time. Like, I'm not saying you watching social media is bad, but if you're going to watch it with purpose. Make sure you're doing it for a reason. Say, well, I'm taking this 10 minutes for me, and this is for me to switch off and not worry about life or not worry about work, and I want to focus just on this. But then set a time for it. I'm doing it for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to move on to do something else. So it's really making sure you're maximizing use of your time each day. Yeah. But then also looking at how that time balances out. So, yeah.
There's so much you just unpack there, like. And the one thing that I grabbed on to, and I think is a theme that has been playing over and over, and I think the question answered, like, what is the one thing? What is that one thing that you need to do right now that's going to improve your health? Yeah. And, I always love this saying that, what's achievable isn't always important. So a lot of times we'll be looking at the end goal. Yeah. And sometimes because we're looking at that end goal, we want to lose weight, or I want to gain all these muscle, 100 pull-ups. We forget what is the habit right now that we need to start, like right now, that's going to lead us there. Yeah. And sometimes it can be as simple as, committing to getting up and just going for a walk every day. Make that a habit. Yeah, that creates that ripple effect. And I also love that you're dialing on time as well. One of the things that I'll tell every single one of my clients, you don't have a time management problem. You have an energy management problem. Yeah, because you mentioned, we want to use a downtime to be on social media thinking, oh, it's relaxation. But what is that doing to your energy? Are you really present in the moment? Yeah. That's
exactly. Time and energy are definitely linked together. So, improving energy is obviously the biggest one out of all of these too, because everything you do in that circle of balance is improving your energy. And if you've got the right energy and you've got good control of that energy, then you can focus that on what you need to get done in the day, which maximizes your time. So, so the time and energy are huge. To me, are very interlinked. They come together. So for sure. So
I'm curious.
Going back to what you just said. Yep. Now, what I was going to say is, like, one of the question I asked, like, what's the most effective workouts you can do? And there's lots of people saying meditation, things like that. But it's basically what you just did, like getting up and committing to go for a walk. So for most people, if they ask me the question, like, what's the latest craze? What's the best workout I can do right now to get the most effect out of and everything else? And basically what I would come back to them and say, well, what are you able to do right now? And what are you able to do right now and maintain, consistently keep doing from a day-to-day basis without a coach, without motivation, with anything else, and be okay doing it. That's what you should be doing. Because if you have to be forced to go to a gym, if you have to be forced to do a workout for a goal that you're not really sure about, then it's not going to be sustainable and you won't be able to keep doing it. So it's not going to be the most effective thing for you. You've got to be committed to it. You've got to have the energy to be able to put in it, the time to put in it, and be okay doing it. Then that's what you've got to be doing. Start with that, work with that, and then build on that. So that's the most effective one for you.
Yeah, that's like the flywheel effect. You keep create that momentum over and over. And what would you say are some resources or tools that you can share right now that would help make this super easier? That has made it easier for you personally.
Yeah, obviously this is one too, and it's some topics we spoke about previously as well. Like coming out of post-COVID, things have changed a lot. So there's lots of different ways to approach fitness, wellness, and health and things like that as well. And obviously the technologies from a lot of companies is drastically improving now too because of that as well. For home training, for travel, for different work schedules, everything as well. So. Resource-wise for me, and again, it's coming back. Even though I'm more of a fitness coach and I do fitness rehab and everything and nutrition, a lot of my stuff still comes back to just taking charge of your time. And it's more about just being able to write stuff down. Like grab yourself a diary, lock in a few things. Don't make your diary strict, but have some certain things you're going to fit within the day, and know that you want to try and do those in the day. Start with that. If you can lock them into a time, great. But a lot of the time too, I find if people lock things into a time and they miss one, it snowballs on and then they can't do the others. So resource-wise, I'd focus on getting yourself a diary. And I'm a pen and paper type person. I like to write it down because it physically connects. Once you write it down, you're more committed to want to try and do it. If you throw it into a phone or put it into a note somewhere, it gets lost and you forget about it, and you don't seem to be as committed to it. So So yeah, definitely, write it down, or even write it on the fridge, or write it somewhere as you're walking out the door every day, so you can see stuff like that and say, right, today I'm going to focus on doing these things. And it could be the workout, it could be more giving more gratitude, it could be trying to find some more time in the day to spend for yourself. That's probably the biggest ones I focus on with people, is to try and get that one sorted out, because once you've got some ideas of what you want to get in the day, you're more committed to want to do in the day, it becomes definitely a lot easier to then focus on doing those. Moving from that, then getting into the fitness and the nutrition. I mean, fitness wise, it comes down to different people too. Lots of people have different aspects of what they want from fitness. Some people are happy to work out from home doing body weight. Some people have to be around people when they do workouts. So you've really got to try and find what works for you, and find groups that can keep you not only motivated, but give you that reason and that purpose to be there as well. So you want to try and disconnect from seeing that workout just for losing weight. You want to try and see it as that, what else can it bring to you, whether it's new connections with people, new groups to communicate with, and then obviously the benefit is you're getting in shape at the same time. So try and look at doing that. So resource wise, that's what I would be focused on. Yeah, try and find the groups, try and find what works for you, and try and find what you can start right now. Yeah.
And I love how you kept it so simple. Sometimes we think that we need to have, like the latest gadget or the better tool. Yeah, one diary, and your pen, and write the things down that you're going to be intentional about doing. That's definitely. Simple.
Yeah, I mean, I've been that person. I've had all the gadgets, I've had all the tech, I've tried all the different stuff. I think, this is going to change things. At the end of the day, it lasts a while. The trend's there, you get hooked on it, and then it just sort of drops off. So it always comes back to the basics. And even me, like, I've gone through different watches, different trackers, things like that, from Xiaomi, Huawei, come back to Apple again. Even for a lot of clients, and now, even though they have a lot of these ones with calorie trackers and they can track your workouts and everything else, the one I always come back to for a lot of people now is even coming back to steps. So steps is one that's, especially post-COVID, because we've been so immobile and we haven't been doing a lot of things now too. And now that we're getting active, we tend to do workouts with higher intensity. We're getting that short burst of energy, but the rest of our day we're quite sedentary. We don't do anything. We sit on our ass. We stuck at work, whatever it is. So the heart rate variability through the day is not good enough. So we're not actually getting enough movement during the day for that 1 hour of 30 minutes of high intensity has no effect. So for me now, it's more about getting back to just the steps. Try and improve your steps. Try and improve your movement during the day, because even that is going to give you a lot of benefit. Just getting up, going for a walk, being more active, just all through the day, try and add that in, makes a huge difference. So you could probably find you can even avoid the workouts on, if you're doing 5 or 6 workouts, you can cut it back to 1 or 2 workouts a week, but just adding in your movement and the steps. So
and I love that you
keeping it simple, keeping it very simple.
And I love that you brought up the steps, because I remember when we started working together, I told you what my goal was to put on more muscle mass. And you asked me about what I was doing. So I was doing a lot of like sprinting and running. And then you said, how does that make you feel? I'm like, I'm really tired in the morning. And I told you I love walking. And he's like, just start walking. Yeah, if you get in more steps during the day, that really contributes to the recovery of your muscles. And that's what I started doing. And I kind of get into that rhythm. Now I'm loving it. So I really love going back to what's simple. Finding that basic thing that you can do and start doing that consistently. And what's a question that I haven't asked you, Tim, that you believe that everyone that's listening really need to know the answer to?
That's a really good question. You got me thinking on that one now too. I'm trying to think, how can I summarize all like the clients I've had that come to me? I mean, most of the time it's fitness, nutrition, things like that. I mean, every time you go out being a coach, people are like, how do I do this exercise, or how can I change it? Is high protein diets better than low carb? And like, there's lots of different things. So there's all these questions which all come back to, obviously, again, it's more about personal physique. It's all about weight loss. A lot of that too, and it's something I think you even said right at the beginning too, about comparing yourself to others. Like I wrote that one down when you said that, because that's a perfect one too when it comes to a lot of people, when it comes to fitness and wellness. We compare ourselves way too often with social media and other people's journeys and what other exercises people are doing, rather than trying to customize and find out what suits us. Where are we at now? So coming back to the question, I think, what would they ask me? It's a good one. I mean, well, let's take it back to your journey. I mean, you're working with me with the fitness and stuff too. And so when you came to me, you wanted to do it. You had a goal to want to be able to do a marathon. Are you still wanting to do that marathon? Do you still have so in your back head, you want to do that marathon?
Well, I think after our conversation, I realized that I love more obstacle. I love the challenge. And a marathon is not something that really connected to me passionately. So we opted in for the Spartan race instead. Yeah. So that's what I'm leaning towards right now. Yeah.
So that's probably, so for me, that's probably what it comes back to. I think a lot of us, and it's not that I'm trying to promote coaches, but at the same time, we get stuck in our own heads. We have this ideal of where we want to be and what we think we should be doing, and we start chasing that with, because we in our head we're 100%, this is where I need to be, this is what I need to do, but we don't take the time to step back and ask somebody, going, what do you think of this? Do you think this is something that I should be doing? What other things, or even for yourself, sit down and write for yourself and say, well, what is my goals? Why am I chasing this goal? What other interests have I got? What other things would I like to do? How is this going to affect that? And how is this stopping me doing that? So it's just taking that time. So whether you take a coach to get you to do that, or whether you find some friends or whatever it be, it's good to sort of step back and check where you're going with those long-term goals, and make sure they are something that's actually achievable and sustainable for you. Is it something that's suited to you? So yeah, so that'd probably be my biggest one. I think that's where a lot of people come to me with that, obviously, like you said, that long-term goal. They have this clear vision ahead of where they want to be in the long-term goal, which is great, but they don't take the steps for the short term. They don't see what's got to be affected by getting them to that goal. So taking that time to sort of analyze that and do that is definitely a must. And
what jumped out for me from what you said is, clarity. Really find clarity around the goal that you set for yourself.
Definitely.
Really ask yourself those questions, or get somebody to ask you those questions. And what does Tim have cooking up that everyone might be interested in knowing?
So I mean, as you know, I do a lot of like one-on-one coaching. It seems to be my main focus, because I like working with people one-on-one for that customization. But at the same time, obviously working with you with the level up and whatnot too. So I do have the group training. So taking a lot of what I've found from one-on-one coaching from different people from different industries, so from corporate to some teachers, some all different sort of career aspects from different people, basically taking the best of what they've done for their journey, the questions they've asked, some of the results they've got, and I'm putting all of that sort of into a package to sort of take people through, to give them basically the Kickstarter, if you like, of how to get their life back in check. What's missing? What do they need to try and improve on? What's probably being overdosed on? What's not being included at all? So they can sort of balance all that out. So finding that lifestyle balance for me is one of the biggest ones. So working on trying to put that package together. I'm going to be launching that very soon. And then the other one, which you know about too, is also looking at the wellness travel. So I'm looking at doing some travel packages and stuff as well, because I think when it comes to wellness, I want to try and give people a better aspect of what holidays are all about, but bring some wellness aspects into it as well. So I'll be doing some travel wellness to try and incorporate that, so people can learn some skills and get some value from that to bring back and bring into their day. So but yeah, the level up to launch that you put me through, so I've got my package ready to go very shortly. Probably do that in the next few weeks. We've started to promote that. So yeah, anyone who's interested in that can definitely drop me a line or drop me a message, and we'll get you in a group so you can start asking questions about that. But yeah, I'm always happy to get on a call with people too. Anyone's got questions they want to ask, I'm always available. I always give people the time to answer questions. So especially for this group that people are on here, well, like you do, I'll give them a 30 to 45 minute sort of a clarity call, go through, ask questions, maybe sort of put together a rough guide for them so they can sort of get started. So yeah.
Awesome. Let's get it. Let's go. Tim, it was certainly a pleasure to have this conversation with you. And like when I first connected with you, it was like a serendipity moment, because I know I wanted a coach, for my body, because I've always been doing that myself, and I've done a good job. However, I felt like something was missing, and I think you put that missing plug to what was missing for me personally. There's a few questions in the chat. So because of time, you can go in and respond to those questions via the chat. And what I want from each of you that are listening is, what was the one insight that you grabbed onto? And I wanted to share that in the group chat, and reach out to Tim, connect. If you need that support in your corner when it comes to living a healthier lifestyle, you want to really, you really want to really expand that energy and that time management, that you need to get into control. Connect with him. Thank you so much, Tim.
Please do. No, thank you, Dina. Thank you for putting all this together. It's been great. It's great listening to a lot of the other coaches and stuff in there too. So really great resource for people to be able to find and learn about coaching as well too. So I
Yes.
think there's a lot of misconception of what coaches provide out there. So it's been great.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
Yeah.
Now I want everyone
Cool.
to just take a deep breath in and just send some love to whoever need it right now. Maybe that's yourself. Yeah, maybe that's your partner next to you, if there's someone next to you. Maybe that's your cat. Maybe that's your dog, if you have a dog in the room. But just take a deep breath in and just send some love out. Yeah. That can even be your mom who is, 24 hours across the world. Yeah, that's who I'm sending love to right now. Yeah. And I want you to get ready for the next speaker. Now, I see some love in the chat. Yolanda said, I love how Tim cares about balance and own measures. Awesome. Akil said, start by doing what you like. The walking versus running advice you give. Oh, brilliant, man. Walking is my thing now, bro.
Yeah.
Sexy can take care of itself, yeah? And then I see Nan had a question, how can we distinguish between stress and burnout? And then Ole said, burnout and depression happens. How to recover or heal? And I'm assuming those are some questions for Tim. Tim, you can go ahead and engage with those.
Yeah.
Now we have another speaker.
Yeah, I'll throw them all in the WeChat group. Yeah.
Awesome. Now we have another speaker who, I'm super excited about this guy because I saw this guy before I met him and I was like, I want to meet this guy. Yeah, because his presence is really attractive. Yeah, like very attractive. If you see Akil speak in person, you would just want to be pulled in. Yeah, and today I want to really, give him this opportunity to share on this topic of, challenges for clarity. What debate can teach us about communication? Yeah, and Akil is a communication coach and also an active member in Toastmasters. If anybody know what Toastmasters is one of the biggest speaking organizations on our planet. And if you haven't heard of it, maybe, he can share more about that here later when you connect with him. And I'm just so excited to, invite you here today, Akil, and I can see that he's ready already. And I hope that you're ready for the vibes that he's about to bring. Welcome, Akil.
Thank you so much, Tino. And I gotta say, I felt the same exact way about your vibes as soon as I saw your videos online. I was like, I gotta meet this guy. It's just so much energy. And working with you has not disappointed. Every single time we come into a session, even when we met in person for the first time, I was like, yes, that is what I need. The energy, the life. So I appreciate the opportunity today. And I do also want to thank everybody else who's just online. Thanks for being up. I know it's 9:30, but it's also a Sunday. There's so many other places that you could be, and you decided to be here to listen to all of these coaches and to give a little bit of time to me too. So thanks so much for your time. Like Dino said, I'm going to actually be talking a little bit about what debate can teach us about communication. And I think a lot of us, probably when we hear the word debate, we're probably thinking, usually we're arguing back and forth with each other, right? It doesn't seem like you're focusing on communicating so much as you're focusing on talking over the other person. But there are a lot of fundamentals in debate that transfer over into our daily lives, whether it's we're communicating with our boss, or we're communicating with our life partner, or we're just communicating with friends. Before we jump into that though, there is something that I need to share with you all. Just chat, put in the group if your sync sometimes looks like this. You can put a 111 or a 666, or you can put any emoji that you want. But if your sync has ever looked like this before, just send a message in the chat group. The reason that I ask you all to do this is because sometimes my sync looks like this. Today, I was fortunate because my sync actually looks a little bit cleaner. My sink looks a little bit more like this. Not so many dishes, but still, there are a few cups in there that I know that I could clean if I wanted to. I bring this up because I think that one of the most common situations where we find ourselves in arguments is in day-to-day life. And for me, it's been with my partner about washing the dishes. You know, there are times when I'm like, I'm out at Toastmasters. You know, I go out for a 7 p.m. meeting and I come back at like 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I see there's dishes in the sink. And then I'm like, all right, I'll get to that in the morning. And she's like, yeah, you will. And then the next morning I wake up and I look in the sink and I'm like, I could get to that now. Or, you know, I'm gonna wait until I know I'll be home for like an hour, because then I can settle down, you know, and I can think about how I'm gonna attack these dishes, because you can't just start washing dishes, right? You got to figure out, you know, like what's the best time to do it, maybe in between work or maybe right before I start work, because if I clean my space, then I'll feel like I'm ready to work, right? And all these excuses come up about washing the dishes. And then all of a sudden it's 10:30 p.m. on the next night, and she's like, there's still dishes in the sink. And I'm like, I realize that, and they will be washed. And then at some point in time, it's been 4 or 5 days, and the sink still looks like this. And then we start to get arguments. And I think this situation probably isn't very uncommon for you all either, right? But in this situation, when we're going in and we start to argue about these dishes, I think one thing that we need to get before we even start the argument is a little bit of clarity. And that's why I think I labeled the session today Challenge for Clarity. Because when we start to challenge ourselves and we challenge each other, we start to learn a little bit more about how we feel about the arguments that we're engaging in. And sometimes we can even evaluate if this argument is even worth our time. So what can we actually gain from debate, and how can debate help us to maybe stop arguing about dishes in our lives? The biggest concept here is understanding. Again, I think a lot of us think about debate and we think, it's usually going back and forth between the other person or the other teams. And the only understanding you have is whether or not you are the winner. But actually, through this process, we gain understanding in 3 different ways. The first is through questioning deeply. Before you start a debate and during the actual process of the debate, and honestly, even after the debate, we are constantly asking ourselves questions. The second way that we can gain understanding is by grounding our opinions. We need to, when we're putting our opinions out there, make sure that we have examples, make sure that we have evidence, make sure that they're even relevant for the content that we're talking about. Because if they're not, then they're useless. And the last way that we can gain understanding is by shifting our perspectives. Any good debater will tell you that the way to win a debate is not by thinking only about your arguments. You have to understand, where is the other person coming from, so that I can actually anticipate what they might say. All right, now I'm going to break this down. But I also realized that not all of us are familiar with debate. So I'm going to give you all a little bit of a breakdown. Debate usually happens we focus on 3 different things. The first I want to ask is the who. Who do you all think is the most important person in the debate? You can type in that box, or if you're really brave, you can unmute and just give me an answer. Who do you think is most important person in the debate? Ted says the audience, everyone says the audience. You know, you would be right if the audience was a person who's actually going to decide whether or not you win, right? In this case, and a lot of debaters come in and they think about this, they think, I need to persuade the audience. But the audience doesn't have the final say. The judge is the person who has the final say. And so actually, the most important person to persuade is the judge in a debate, not the audience. At the end of the day, the audience can love or hate you, right? But the person who really makes the final decision is the judge. And this seems like, oh, Akil, but there's no judge in our real life communications, right? But there kind of is. Usually the judge at the end of the day has either you or the other person in that argument with you. You all have to judge who will actually take action or whether this suggestion was reasonable. So you need to be thinking from the perspective of the judge, whoever that may be in your interactions. Okay, so we've got the who done. The next up is the why. Why do we debate? I'll give you a hint. I've already told you that it is not to beat the other side. So why do we debate? To win for clarity, mainly gain clarity. I like it. You all are taking tips from the title. So I would say yes, it is to gain clarity for sure. Generally, you also want to make sure that your side seems more preferable, right? There are many different people who are stakeholders in this debate, but at the end of the day, it's usually you against someone else. And the way that you know that you've won is if the judge decides that what you have put forward is a more preferable option than what the other person has put forward. This is something we need to make sure that we're keeping in mind as we go through the rest of the PowerPoint. Now, the last question is, how do we actually go through and give and participate actively in a debate? And this one, don't worry, I'll give to you. In debates, the best way to make sure that you accomplish your goal is to provide clear and rational arguments. And again, if this may seem counterintuitive, if any of you all have ever seen any politician debate, you will know many times they do not give clear and or rational arguments. And if any of you all have ever been in an argument with your partner, sometimes we don't give clear or rational arguments. We just talk about how we feel. And I'm not saying that's bad. In fact, that's great. You should talk about how you feel. You need to also be able to rationally explain how did you get to where you feel. Because if you can't do that, then the other person is not clear about your argument. And you probably won't be able to convince them that whatever it is that you're saying is more preferable. All right, so we've given you all a background for debate and a framework for how we're going to look at this. The first value that I think we can get from debating for our communication is questioning deeply. And when I say that, I mean we question our opinions, and we also question what's important in this argument in the first place. If you are familiar with these questions, who, what, when, where, why, just give me a 11111 in the group chat, or you can raise your hand. Hopefully we're all familiar with this. Okay, I've seen a few responses there. Awesome. Who, what, when, where, why. When I'm coaching my debate students, we oftentimes start off by asking these questions. Usually we ask, what are we disagreeing about? We've given you a topic. Sometimes we talk about homework should be banned. Okay, what actually are we disagreeing about here? Or if we're going to talk about dishes, maybe the person might say, it's your turn to wash the dishes. All right. You say it's my turn to wash the dishes. I say it's your turn. Or I say it's not my turn. Those are actually two different things, right? So what are we disagreeing here about? Then we also ask the question, why is this important if it's important at all? And then you go and you follow up on why are we actually disagreeing about this? We can continue to also ask who is actually going to be affected by this. Now, usually in our one-on-one communications, who is being affected by this is probably limited to just you and the other person. But maybe we're having a party tomorrow night and my partner wants me to wash the dishes because we are having guests over. If there are dishes in the sink, it's not just she and I who are affected, right? It's going to be all of the people who come to our house because they're going to see dirty dishes in my sink. Or maybe we're at work and we're disagreeing with a coworker. Sometimes the people who are affected by this decision, they're not limited to just me or you, and it might not even be limited to your department. Maybe it's going to be the clients that you focus on. So understanding who's affected is really, really important. Then we go into the next two questions, which are how are they being affected by this, and when will they be affected by this? Again, who, what, when, where, why, and how. When we're able to ask these questions, we actually gain a lot more clarity about how we're feeling about this situation, why we're feeling this way. And we start to be able to move into what could be the second step. That being said, I want to ask you all a question here now. Let's say, imagine you, and it can be your roommate, it can be your partner, it can be anyone that you live with. Maybe that you don't consider them a roommate. You're in this situation when they say it's your turn to wash the dishes. What could you possibly be disagreeing about? You can send a message in the chat box. What could you possibly be disagreeing about? I love that suggestion, Yolanda. Get an eye. This may be a bit difficult. So let's go. I'll actually borrow Yolanda's suggestion here. Maybe somebody says it's your turn to wash the dishes. And I say it's not my turn to wash the dishes. It's possible that I'm coming from a situation where I'm like, we go back and forth to wash the dishes, or we should wash the dishes based on what's in the sink and who's there now, right? So it's not necessarily about turns. We're disagreeing about this idea of whose turn it is to wash the dishes. It should just be you wash the dishes if you see dishes in the sink, right? Or like Nan said, maybe we're disagreeing about who should be doing what. Maybe we already decided that A will wash the dishes. For example, my partner, her name is Jenna. Maybe we decided that Jenna should wash the dishes all the time and I should sweep the floor. But in the past few weeks, Jenna has also been sweeping the floor. And so now we're disagreeing because she's doing more chores than I'm doing. And she says, now is your turn to start washing the dishes because I have been doing all of the housework. This becomes a now much more complex situation than just her telling me it's my turn to wash the dishes, right? But from that starting point, we can understand so much more. So we'll take the disagreeing about house chores. Maybe we're disagreeing about how fair it is to split up the chores now because I haven't been doing my work. Maybe I think in this situation, it's pretty important, right? Because our house needs to be cleaned no matter what. Why is this important? Because it's good for our mental health. And we're disagreeing about it because currently the balance is unfair. Who's being affected by this? We've already talked about it. It could be me, it could be Jenna, it could be all of our friends who might be coming over. And how are they affected? Well, I can step back and think, if Jenna feels like she's been washing the dishes and doing all of the chores for the past few weeks, she's probably really, really tired now, right? Because she's doing that on top of having to do work. Maybe she's becoming more annoyed because she feels like I don't value her. Maybe I'm affected because I feel somewhere in my heart a little bit guilty because I'm not washing the dishes. That could even be part of the reason why I'm having this argument, because I'm embarrassed that she's asking me to wash the dishes, even though I know that I should have been doing it before she asked. All of these are different ways that I could be affected and she could be affected by this argument. And when will we be affected by this? I think this one's pretty clear. It's right now, right? But now we have this context. We have this understanding about this simple phrase, it's your turn to wash the dishes. And we can use all of this information that we've gathered to move into the next step. So I was going to write it on the slide here, but I don't know that we need to. So I'm going to skip on to the next part. My favorite part about asking this question, these series of questions, is the second question, why is this important? Or why are we debating it? Again, in this situation, I feel like, yeah, it's your turn to wash the dishes. Washing the dishes is something that is important. It helps to keep our houses clean. But there's so many other arguments that we don't need to get into. And when we ask this question, why is this important, if it's important at all, we start to get at the heart of, is this worth debating or is this worth arguing over in the first place? And there are so many times when it's not worth it. And you can save yourself an hour, 2 hours, maybe even a couple of days of arguing and then getting angry and then realizing later on that it wasn't worth it. So asking ourselves questions deeply before and even during and even after this process of debating or disagreeing, This is a value I think that we can all take away from debate. But what's something else that we can get? I would say it's grounding our opinions. And here, what I mean is making our opinions more tangible. Again, we talked a little bit earlier about this idea that sometimes we get emotional, and it's normal. But what can we do? Well, first, we go back to these questions that we just asked. We understand who is most affected by this topic or this argument. In debate, we call them our key stakeholders. Again, in this situation with washing the dishes, it's me and my partner, Jenna. But on top of that, we also give some context for this debate. We give some context for this argument. If Jenna just comes in and says, Akil, it's your turn to wash the dishes, I might feel blindsided. But if she comes in and she says, hey, Akil, I've been washing the dishes for the past 5 days, and I've also been sweeping the floor. I'm really tired tonight, and I feel like it's your turn to wash the dishes. This is going to change the way that our interaction works. Because now I understand where she's coming from. Even if I don't agree with it, I understand where she's coming from. So after that, what else can we do? We explain our goal. And in this situation, Jen has already done it. She said, I need you to wash the dishes. And finally, we clarify any key terms or anything that may be unclear. Again, we talked about this earlier. Maybe Jenna feels like this idea of turns is a little bit different, right? She doesn't agree with this idea of turns. Or maybe even when it comes to washing the dishes, she means regularly washing the dishes, not just tonight. She might say, it's your turn to wash the dishes. From now on, we're switching roles, right? But in this situation, it needs to be a little bit more clear. So what does that look like when we're actually structuring our debates or our arguments or our opinions? Well, for some of you all who are in Toastmasters, you might be familiar with the structure for impromptu. We call it giving an answer, giving a reason, giving an example, and then you give a message. If you're not familiar with that, you might be familiar with the STAR method for interviews. Usually, when you're asked situational questions, you start off with the situation, you give the task, you talk about the action, right? And then you talk about the response that comes afterwards, or I'm sorry, the result that comes afterwards. Even if you're not familiar with any of those, I will give you all a structure that you can reference. Usually, we start off with what's called our claim. So you say, what do you believe? Well, you've given me the context already, right? I've been washing the dishes for 5 days, and I feel like I'm really tired tonight. And then you go into the claim. I feel like it's your turn to wash the dishes. Got it. But after that, you got to give some explanation, right? The other person might say, why? So then you give your reasoning. Why is this true? Well, I've been washing the dishes, or I've been sweeping the floor, washing the dishes for the past few days. I'm really, really tired. And I've noticed that you haven't been doing your side of the work. Or you could even skip that and just say, we agreed when we moved in together that I would do this and you would do this. But recently you haven't been doing that. And so I feel like it's time for you to start doing something, AKA washing the dishes. Cool. But the other person might be like, I don't think that that's true. I don't remember. I feel like I have been washing the dishes since we've moved in. So then you give some evidence. It can be an example. In this case, Jenna can show me the picture of the dishes in the sink and say, look at this. Look at this. It's been here for 2 days. Why didn't you wash it? I can't deny that there are dishes in the sink that I have not washed it, right? And last but not least, we go up to the impact. How is this actually going to affect our situation? At the end of the day, you can end it with, if you can wash the dishes, it's really going to give me some peace of mind, or I'm going to feel like I have some time to actually relax because, like I said, I'm tired. And just now you have a very concrete, a very compact opinion that's backed up with evidence that people can't deny. Again, they can disagree with it, but they can't deny that it's true. And you've given them something to think about. And this is what goes back again to what I was talking about with our emotional arguments as well. It is totally okay to feel like I'm in the zone and I'm angry, and your anger is valid. What you need to do is be able to explain where your anger is coming from so the other person can get it. Because a lot of times our miscommunication comes because somebody assumes you're angry about one thing when really you're angry about another. Okay, so we've grounded our opinions in this way, and we've already been able to ask questions to introduce our ideas. Now, what happens? Yes, Jenny, exactly, assumptions. So what happens when you put forward your opinion? What do you think the other person is immediately going to do? You can type it in the chat box. I've come in, I've built this beautiful argument. Yes, Yolanda says defend themselves, right? Yeah, Jenny, go on the defense and the defenses. Yeah, exactly. We're gonna get defensive. We're gonna throw it out there and be like, yes, that might be true, but, or that's not true at all. So we move into shifting our perspectives. And this helps us to make it helps us to not only make our opinions tangible, but it helps us to understand where the other person is coming from. Now, in debate, we believe that whenever you hear somebody's argument, the best way to defend against them is to take the best version of that person's argument. What does that mean? You need to assume that what that person is trying to communicate may not be exactly what they mean. And so you assume the best. Again, if Jenna comes in and she says, it's your turn to wash the dishes. And I come back and I say, it's not my turn. She could take that at face value and say, he doesn't believe that it's his turn to wash the dishes. But what she could also come back to and say and believe is, well, maybe he thinks that he's already done something recently, right? Maybe when it comes to turns, again, he's thinking, I don't wash the dishes, I sweep the floor. So it's not my turn to wash the dishes because we don't take turns washing the dishes. If we're arguing with a coworker, maybe somebody comes in and they say, I need you to do this. And the other person comes back and says, I don't have time. This is something we hear all the time, right? Oftentimes, we might think that the other person is saying, I don't have time, and I don't have time means this is your job. Or I don't have time means I don't care. But that's not necessarily what they're saying. If we take the best version of this phrase, it could mean, I am overwhelmed with what I have to do right now, and I cannot figure out how to prioritize your task, right? If we take the best version of this response, then it becomes so much easier to rebut. And it makes the other person feel like we're actually listening to them, like Jenny was saying at the end. Now, what is the best structure that you can use to actually frame your responses while taking the best version of the other person's argument? First, we explain what they said. So I'll switch to the working example because I feel like this one might be a little bit easier to grasp. Somebody comes in and they say, hey, I need you to finish this today by 5 p.m. Or you come up to somebody rather and you say, I need you to finish this by 5 p.m. The other person says, I don't have time. First, you say back to what they said. So you said that you're really busy today and you're not sure how you can make the time to finish this task before 5 p.m. Then you go in and you explain what's wrong or what's flawed here and why, right? It could be that maybe you're coming in and you're saying, however, I know that we have a little bit of tasks that we can restructure, or I know that I can actually help you to do some things that, to take some things off of your plate so you have more time for this. Or, however, I know that this big project that you're working on, you still have a little bit of time before it's due, and this will help you to complete that project. Now, some people may not like it if you know a little too much about their business and you start to micromanage, right? Most people don't like it when you tell them what their priorities are. So this telling them what's wrong and why takes a little bit of practice. But it is helpful to identify if they feel like I don't have enough time to prioritize this. Well, you work with them. What misunderstanding could they be having about this situation? Or you could even tell them, I understand that you feel like you don't have enough time to finish this task today. However, this is actually going to take much less time than you think, because all of the information that you need or that you need to complete it, you've already done before. So now you're going in and you're correcting kind of their understanding of how much time this should take. Once you address what's wrong and why, then you go in on your alternative. So again, if you're communicating with a coworker, it could be that you say, what about if you can ask for help, right? I can finish this task. What if you send me the information that I need in the next 10 minutes? So now you're trying to compromise. You're trying to find a way to make this balance happen. And then you go up to the end why it's more preferable. I think this would be really, really helpful, because not only does that mean it won't take too much of your time, but I'll also be able to spend less time doing this task and focus on how I can prioritize the other tasks that I have to do today. Again, this situation, this rebuttal, we call it our rebuttal framework. It takes a lot of practice. But being able to first pick out what the other person has said, identify where the misinterpretation is, and explain why there seems to be a misunderstanding. And then provide some sort of alternative. In this case, it could be a compromise. But sometimes maybe you're just continuing to push with what you want. Jenna might say, I understand that you don't think it's your turn. However, I've been washing dishes all week. I've been sweeping the floor all week, and I haven't seen you do anything. So I do believe that it is your turn to do something this week, and that means washing the dishes. And that's because I'd like to feel like you feel like we're both living in this house and we both share responsibilities. So we take the best version of the opponent's argument, or the other person's argument rather, and then we give it back to them in a way that makes them feel heard, and also in a way that shows that we're willing to work things out. Now, there are so many more techniques that we can talk about with debate. Unfortunately, I only had 30 minutes today, and I wanted to be able to get as deep into the concepts that are available and that I think are easiest to grasp as possible. But there's so many things that we could talk about. How you take the other thing that the person has said and you compare it to what you said, right? And you try to figure out, okay, which is going to have more impact in the long run, in addition to so many other ways to structure our arguments. But since I don't have enough time to share all of these things today, I do want to provide some resources for you all to go and learn a little bit more about debate and a little bit more about how to communicate more effectively. This is an amazing book called Good Arguments by Bo Seo, who was a 2-time debating world champion, and it opened my eyes to so much more about what we can do just with this small activity. If you're not super into reading, there is an audiobook, so you can listen to it. But if you're like, books, boring, I don't care if they're in written form or in audio form, I like videos. Well, there are so many videos as well available for you. You can go on YouTube. If you don't have access to a VPN, you can go on Yoku and just search for NSDA, World Schools, or World Universities Debating Championships. These are some professional organizations that hold debates. Most of them, NSDA and World Schools, they tend to be for middle and high school students. But for World Universities Debating Championships, obviously it's for university students. So they tend to be much older. And the arguments, actually, I won't say they tend to be more complex, because you would be surprised how complex middle and high school students can make their arguments. Now, last but not least, obviously, I'm here to also promote myself. And if you feel like these are some great tips, but you really would benefit from being able to work one-on-one with somebody who can help you to make clarity immediately, you can reach out to me. I'm currently working with a business partner at an organization called UMO. And we believe that everyone in this room, and even people who have not signed on to attend, are competent. And we want to help you get your competent ideas, your competent skills out to move your world. Your world can be your community. It can be literally the global community. It's entirely up to you. But communication and communicating your ideas effectively should not be a barrier for you. So if you're interested in that and you feel like you would like to at least understand a little bit more, you can reach out to me on WeChat. I'd be happy to reach out and we can get a cup of coffee sometime, or I prefer tea, so we can meet up for some tea sometime, and I can get to know you and we can see how I can help. If you want to understand a little bit more about what I do before you reach out to me, that's cool too. You can scan the QR code on your right, and you'll see that it links to my Substack, it links to my Instagram, it also links to my LinkedIn. So you can check out a little bit more about what I'm doing and where I'm coming from. And hopefully you will then follow up by adding my WeChat so we can connect a little bit more. But thank you all so much for your time today. I've had an amazing time. I love this community. I love Dino for the opportunity for giving it to me. And I hope that you've learned a little bit more about how you can communicate a little bit more effectively, whether it's with your partner, in your work, or in any other aspect of your life. I'll pass the mic back over to Dino.
Thank you so much, Akil. Thank you so much. And guys, I think this was a big one for me personally. Yeah, and it's interesting you use the word debate. Yeah, and I know those of you who are in relationships, yeah, there's a lot of debates going on maybe every day, almost every week. Yeah, and that framework about, really, throwing back what the person said and, finding an alternative, that was a big takeaway for me personally. Because most times, when you love somebody or you love the space that you're in, you want to make sure that, they have felt they are good. Yeah, you want to make sure that they are in a space where they feel appreciated. And sometimes it's hard to do that when you're always in the body feeling all the stress and you feel like it's unfair. So I really love that framework, and I really want to thank you so much, Akil, for sharing that. And go ahead, guys, reach out to Akil, connect with him, because one of the greatest speakers who I really love to follow, he says that if your skill is 10 out of 10, however, your ability to communicate is a 3 out of 10, yeah, the impact that you're going to create with your skill is going to be a 3 out of 10, because the quality of your communication, yeah, is in the response it elicits. Yeah, so communication is very, very important. Now I want you to take a deep breath. And as you exhale, really want to just relax, as you have relaxed many times before. And relaxation can come easy for you. Now we have another speaker would be gracing us, and this man is very incredible. Yeah, maybe not in our side of the world as yet, but yeah, in the Korean side of the world. Yeah, and he's a career coach, and he's also an influencer on LinkedIn, yeah, in particular in Korea. And, I've heard so much great things about him, and I was super excited, when he offered to be a part of this space. And today we'll be sharing this space with the one and only, yeah, Brian Yo. Yeah, and Brian Yo have 10 years of experience in global business, focusing on sales, business development, and strategic roles. And today, Brian would be sharing with you around his work when it comes to work, life, values. Yeah, how are you feeling stuck in your current career path? Yeah, and that each of you right now who are tuning in, yeah, you're on that journey. Yeah, whether you're starting your career, you're at the peak or you're in the middle, yeah, there's going to be something in this session for you. I just want to give this space to him as he's about to grace you. And I want, when you're listening, yeah, I want you to listen for the distinctions. Now, what I mean by listening for distinctions, I don't want you to listen for the things that you agree with. I want you to listen to some of the things that are also different to your own beliefs and your own values, and ask yourself, what's really true about that? And how can I apply that? Because most often you have your map of reality, and when another expert or coach or leader comes and brings theirs, it becomes very important for you to take that map and put it up against your own. So Brian, I'm really excited to welcome you. Yeah, and the stage is yours, my friend.
All right, everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah, good to see you, everyone. I really enjoyed yesterday's, also today, very insightful conversation. And and I would like to share my story and my lessons of 8 year long career coaching, especially for Korean society. As you know, the Korea is popular for several things. One is K-pop. Do you guys know Blackpink, BTS, for example? So big success, but behind the success, there's a lot of pain and also some kind of a difficulty for young people. That's why I decided to become a career coach, helping them find their values and realize their potential. So that's me. I'm Brian Yu, currently working as a career coach, mainly for Korean society. I do a little bit of the foreigner coaching, but mostly it's Korean. So I'm not a native speaker, but I'll do my best today. And also I'm a partner coach of a outplacement service company. Outplacement is something when employees are laid off from the company, they get this kind of service from the provider. So I'm a partner coach of a RiseSmart and Career Minds and Global Connections. They assigned me some clients, and it was really busy. For first quarter, I got like a 40 people. That's huge. You need to schedule every day 40 people, but it was really worth it. Sometimes I meet some challenging cases, but I do enjoy helping others because of my core value in life is helping others. Because by helping others, you feel better. You feel you're useful for the world, for the people. I really like that feeling. And also I'm a content provider, career contents for the last 8 years. So I become suddenly the LinkedIn influencer. I have 24,000 followers on LinkedIn only, and other social media platform, total, let's say 50,000 people. When I share content, they receive it. So it's a really great feeling. You have some kind of influence. But at the same time, you need to be careful because your words has sometimes a negative effect on some people. So I really care about that as well as I become a little more popular on social media. So this is a little bit of my impact. So regarding my impact as a career coach, I give some lectures for students from 30 plus university in Korea, and one-on-one coaching for the last 8 years, 850 people from junior level to C level. And mostly nowadays I see a lot of C level. They're concerned nowadays, especially in Korea, who work in a multinational company. They're worried about their future. And same thing for junior level as well. They're unsure about their expertise area or which area they should go. So this is a very big common issues for young people in Korea and for C level, I mean the direct level people. And also I work as a career startup business advisor because I have a business background. I've been working as an overseas salesperson. So I've visited Vietnam, Singapore, and Dubai, for example. It's those Asian countries mostly. And that's why I would like to help the businesses grow their business to the global level. So I have several companies I've been advising now. And LinkedIn workshop for companies, because LinkedIn is not just a job portal, it's for building relationship. So it's a really good tool, but Korea, LinkedIn is not that popular. We have just 3 million users, which is very low compared to the other countries. So that's why I try to give lectures for the company. You should use this one to extend their global presence and do the global marketing. And today I will do specifically focus on career pivoting because a lot of people, they wish to change their industry, sometimes the positions. So I have some cases sending Korean people to other countries. Let's say 15 countries so far. Recently, I have a case in UK and Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia. You feel it's common in your country, but it's uncommon here. Because we speak Korean. Speaking English is rare, like Japan. We have people who speak English in their daily life, but it's just a 0.2%, for example. So, but thing is that Korean people can speak English, but not many opportunity, I mean, in the daily lives. So my topic today is how personal values that direct our career path. So the value, I really the believer of values, and I wasn't before, but I was I'll let you know why I started believing that. So first value I discovered in my life was being global. I never been abroad for study. Actually, I'm pure Korean, studying English, having some typical education in Korea. But in college, I feel that something global is a very important. Maybe Steve Jobs, maybe some entrepreneurs from the media, their success story. I was into the TED Talks at the time as well. So something global, really the message I have in my brain every single day. So I naturally, after graduation, took a global sales role in my first job, and had a wonderful trip to around the world, Dubai, Singapore. I visited the NUS, National University of Singapore, for example, in Cambodia, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia. That was fantastic. My first company was a genomic service provider. So I meet normally the scientists, the researchers to get their DNA samples of their animals and plants and sequencing them and provided data for their researching. So that was a role. So it was really interesting for me because, by the way, I majored in biology in my college. And thankfully, there was no overtime work in my first job. You may feel weird. Overtime work in Korea is because it's normal. It's normal when it comes to the work time. You'll see a lot of normally 9 to 7 is a super fast. So normally 9 to 8 is quite normal in Korea, even still today. But at the time, I wasn't the person who do the overtime. That's my style. So I just finish the work and go home. But when you finish the work at 6 p.m. and you try to pack up and you go, you will see a lot of seniors stare, and you should overcome that in Korea. Anyway, in Korea, there's a significant societal pressure to achieve success. So the value thing, today's topic may be something casual for your country, but in this country, even still today, not many people don't know their values. So from middle school, high school, they work like crazy. So that was the kind of a situation here. So thankfully, last year, I was able to do the mentoring North Korean defectors, 7 North Korean defectors visiting U.S. Embassy, and I was able to help them. So this is one of the meaningful work I do as a career coach. The one guy from called James from LinkedIn contacted me, and we had a Zoom meeting several times, and I was able to help James to organize this events. And I do some mentoring activity for the local community in Seoul, offline, online, mostly online nowadays, but offline sometimes. So behind the global success of K-pop in Korea, this picture is quite common. You know, if you go to school here in Korea, 7 in 10 teenagers feel loss of confidence due to school grades and a lot of pressure from society and the parents as well. So the suicide rate, #1 for the last 10 years in the world, lowest birth rate, as you know. The birth rate, we are lowest. Second is Japan. So this is a huge problem. So I hope you help many Korean people, because I know some foreigners doing some marketing activity on LinkedIn, helping the Korean people English or career coaching as well. So I believe it's a huge market for you. if you target the Korean audience, honestly. So that's one of the idea, because we need help. They need help. So I cannot help everyone. So that's the idea I want to share today. And next value was challenging. I found my first job is quite okay and easy. I traveled around the world. I spent 4 years there. That was it. So I felt, let me do something else. So I pursued the challenge. This is the second value in my life I discovered. So I co-founded an international trading company with three co-founders based in Seoul. So item was the medical device from the manufacturer in Boston area. And we got the Asian distributorship of 12 countries. And I was the managing 4 countries: Indonesia, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Philippines. And I had a business trip to the world to build a partnership. And also I started a side job, resume rewriting service for Korean people, because at the time I didn't have any salary from my company for the first 2 years. So it's part of my failure, actually. I didn't succeed. I failed. So I not luckily, after that, I got a job offer from the Swiss company called the Sophia Genetics as a country manager. It was a high-paying job, remote job, and global team. I have a territory manager in Melbourne. I have a team in Japan, Taiwan, for example, and sales training opportunities in Geneva, Bali, and Melbourne. That was fantastic. That was a really good experience. So I felt that the career is not linear. You can achieve everything, because of my first career, typical Korean company, and my own entrepreneurship experience, failure, and then this one really changed my perspective. It was at the age of 32, I believe, at that time. So luckily, the LinkedIn gave me this job. So since then, I really try to let people know the value of LinkedIn. But at the same time, I've realized my value is not the reputation, not the wealth. So because of the high sales pressure, and also the customer size is a very conservative culture, because of the solution I sold was the software for hospitals to analyze the patient data, patient genomic data, for example. And so the customer I meet normally clients at the age of over 50, hospital head, for example, was really difficult at the age of 32 or something. So in Korea, doing sales is related to your age gap as well. So it was some tough situation. So I realized that the reputation and wealth is not the value I want. I just follow the opportunity. I just take this opportunity because maybe is the success defined by others, defined by society. So I realized that I need to follow my own value. And in 2018, my son was born. Hojin was born. And then my third value comes to my life and helping others. And family. So I decided to pursue family and helping others for the rest of my life. And it's been 6 years since then, since the Hojin is a 6-year-old now. So it's a flexible working time and influence others through social media, because I consistently provided content online, offline, and on YouTube and LinkedIn as well. So many impressions I can give to the people have a little bit of influence to Korean society. 100% remote work, networking opportunity. I think the building relationship is something Korean people don't really do well. So I think it's some area that you guys can help. And also communication part is also very important, but not many Korean people is accustomed to that, because showing off or raising hands in Korean society is something weird. You should be quiet. You should be normal. If you're abnormal, or you raise your hands and you express yourself, that is considered something different. And still Korea has that culture. And also for me, still there are challenges and growth in myself. So this one is also challenging, because I do Korean lecture, and the English one is a kind of a challenge for me, but I try to do my best. And one of the concern I have in the coaching business is monetization, because of doing good things, and you getting paid, make me feel uncomfortable at first. And so that was my challenge in internet challenge. So I can say at first the notion of being paid to do good things left me feeling uneasy. And I found that when you're confident in what you're offering and know its value, you won't have a hard time of getting paid for it. So over time, I get accustomed to being paid by believing my service value and by improving the service quality. So that was some of the challenging personally. So career pivoting. I asked the ChatGPT. Nowadays in Korea, ChatGPT is a really hot topic. Every news, every even the lecturer, they switch their topic to ChatGPT. And career pivoting, it says, refers to the act of making a significant change in one's career path by transitioning from one field to or job role to another that may be unrelated or only tangent related to one's previous work. It involves shifting one's skills, experience, and expertise to a new field or trade. And it often involves acquiring new skills, knowledge, building new networks, and sometimes starting at a low level and taking a pay cut in the new field. Successful career pivoting requires careful planning on a realistic assessment as one's strengths and weakness and willingness to learn and adapt. So yeah, that's the definition. And these are some of the lesson. I have 2 slides more, and these are the career pivoting cases I did for the people. Firstly, I want to share the lessons from my career coaching experience. The first one, there's no set formula for achieving success in one's career and leadership style. Therefore, individuals must develop their own career and leadership style. Because a lot of the Korean people, they try to benchmark people. They want to be like that person, but they don't really know how they form their own style. So that is the kind of issue that I would like to point out. And so this sentence represents that problem. And second one, career pivoting is possible. In order to secure a basis for career transition, it's essential to accumulate relevant project experience. So I have experience. I'm a work as a career coach. 10 years back on my Facebook post, I didn't really mention about career coaching job because I didn't really expect myself to be a career coach 10 years back. But now I'm doing that. So thinking about the secret of that, I did a lot of personal projects. I run my own English study group for 9 years, and also I started my YouTube channel in my first job. After finishing my work, every day I spend 3 hours editing video, things like that. So I was able to understand the social media and how we provide the content to the online audience. And third one must have their own value system, but the value system is in the unconscious area. But my concept is to put this value more visibly. Let's think about your glasses has one value. So my value here is family and helping people. Okay, quick question for audience from the interaction. What is your number one value in life? One keyword, no more second word, just one word. If you should have one word in life in terms of value, what would it be? For me, it's a family. For me, second one is helping others. Can you type that? Okay, curiosity, exploration, legacy, service, okay, compassion, okay, relationship, okay, I see. Yeah, and by the way, huge thanks to Dino and Tasso Actually, Dazzle and I met in Seoul, and she introduced this great event as at the same time the widget group as well, and yeah, love, okay, empathy, okay, very good. You guys have a similar values as me as well, because when values are similar, the conversation are really rich and very interesting. I found it. But when you talk with the people with the value against your value, it's really difficult. You want to finish it, something like that. Okay, very good. So that was a kind of the message in my career coaching experience, and so the value, understanding value, not only understanding value, you should define your own value, and you should live the value. You should protect that value. But the culture sometimes so big, so hard, so strong. So the existing culture, in the existing culture, you cannot protect your values. Especially Korean society was really difficult. If you want to express something, you want to express something. In some culture, you cannot express yourself in some meeting, in some school. Yeah, because if we have a culture, you don't speak. You don't speak when you eat, for example, in the 10 years back. But nowadays we talk, but wasn't able to talk when you eat. That was a culture. So that culture versus the personal value, we're fighting. That's the idea that I see. So that's why I try to make them understand their value. No, it's your value. You should protect that. But the culture, there's culture. You cannot protect your values in some companies or in your life. So understand that context is kind of my idea to deliver to the individuals when I do the coaching. Number 4, amount of expression becomes one's identity. Showing authenticity and consistency can lead to good networks and relationship. So all the speakers, I saw your authenticity and consistency. So I naturally have a trust for everyone. So not hiding and express. So the amount of expression is very important. So writing is something I want you to do on a regular basis on social media or hang notes, whatever. And next one, gaining self-awareness requires uncovering one's values and increasing their density. So I put the concept of density. You have value, and you should have more density of value by over time, by doing your activity. And that activity should touch your value. So every activity I do, like this one as well, is part of my value realization, helping people, even one person here. Yeah. And managing an individual's career brand is becoming increasingly important. Utilizing LinkedIn for strategic career branding, establishing professional identity, networking, and content production is necessary. So networking, yeah, definitely important. And we are connected. So please add me on LinkedIn. And if you want to build a business in Korea, I'm here to help. For your coaching business, for example. The career pivoting case, a person with 4 years of career gap. In Korea, if you have a career gap, you cannot be hired. It's really difficult because you have a career break, whatever the reason, maybe pregnancy, whatever the reason, you have a career break. No, you don't get a job. It's hard, really hard. So you, from the office job, you eventually work in a restaurant or convenience store or whatever, because it's hard to get a job after a career break. But this guy become a finance manager in a German company in Korea by making a very authentic story of himself. And I want to share that. His wife was a YouTuber, a very successful YouTuber, making a lot of money. So he quit the job to support her. But after pandemic, the wife's YouTube like went bad in terms of revenue generation. So he was like 3 years gap at the time. So applying for a job to sustain, and he failed. Me, and I actually made a kind of story about his career break, a 4 years career break. 1.5 years taking care of his own son. I mean, actually he had a son, and then 2 years working for the content startup. Not talking about wife. Wife is a YouTuber and helper. Content startup. But why content startup? And he said, it's more flexible. I can take care of my son at the same time I can work. And now I want to go back to the corporate world, especially multinational company. And he got a job. So that kind of story was really powerful. And he overcame that difficulty of 4 years of a career gap. Similarly, I have many cases, career pivoting cases. So actually, it's not easy, but you know, it's worth trying. So if you want to become freelancer like me, or doing your business, whatever, yeah, you can do that. But if you start small, and even without a company, you should have your own ability. And the point is that you should help people. Help the business is a idea of being paid. If you help the business full time, it's a career. It's an employee. If you help the business part time, it's a consulting. So I'm doing some consulting part time and doing my own business. And salary is really better than the before. But you know, I'm not the one who pursue wealth. But if you pursue your own values, people see your authenticity, and naturally money comes after, because you have a trust between relationship. So that's the idea I want to share. So the last slide, my favorite quote, be the change. Be the change. And this is my old 6-year-old son, Jeju Island, a beautiful ocean. And I'm planning to visit Jeju Island. If you visit Korea, Jeju Island is a very good place to be with your family, loved ones. And connect with me on LinkedIn, and let me know if you want to build a business here in Korea for Korean audience, because Korean people can speak English, so they can pay you. And I know several foreigners doing that job as well very well. So that's it. Thank you very much. 감사합니다.
감사합니다. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Brian. A big part of me feel like that presentation was for me personally. I don't know who else in the group felt that, but I can see that our value align, you know, quite a bit when it comes to family relationship. I know one of my driving force is always, you know, how can I create a world for my children who's not here as yet, where they can flourish? And I love the idea of, you know, becoming aware of your values and learning how to protect it. And the major threat to your values sometimes is the culture, the space that you're in. Yeah, your family, yeah, the country itself. So, and being with a Korean empress myself, it's one of the biggest question is, okay, you know, how am I gonna bring, you know, children of multi-nationality up in the world and really help them to embody their identity? So I really resonate with that presentation. And for those of you who would love to connect with Brian, I really do encourage you, reach out, connect, have a conversation, have a coffee chat. Yeah, Koreans love coffee chats, as I've been learning. And I want to really appreciate every one of you who have been here from the beginning since this morning until now. So what I want to do, I want to give you a 5-minute breather so that you can get up, stretch, get some water, and let's finish on a big note. I'm going to have a conversation with somebody who I truly admire and somebody who I've had the opportunity of meeting over the last couple of years. And he has a very interesting story to tell that would truly inspire you on your journey. Yeah, to becoming a high performer at whatever you do, what it is in your work, your life, or your relationship. So it's time to take a breather, 5 minutes. and we'll be back. Now, as you're there listening to the sound of my voice, you're now becoming aware of what you're feeling. Feeling your feet on the floor. Even becoming aware of your toes right there in front of your feet. Now, if you're so pleased, you can give these toes a wiggle, just acknowledging that they're there. That's right. Now, these are the toes that brings your sense of balance. That sense of balance that you feel on the inside. Now, as you're feeling that feeling even more, I invite you to take a deep breath in. As you exhale, relax even deeper, even more. Yeah, that's right. Knowing that you can come back to this space of balance and relaxation whenever you need to. I hope that you have been having as much fun as I have. I've been learning a lot. And even for me, if some of these things are a reminder, it's like seeing it from a whole new perspective just changes everything. And that's one of the reasons why I'm always so excited about learning and meeting new people and really exchanging knowledge with them. Because as I said earlier, you have your map of reality, I have mine. When we bring it together, we create magic. Now, as you're getting settled back in, I want you to ground yourself and just find somewhere comfortable. Yeah, maybe you have your notebook in your hand, or you're sitting, or you're standing. Wherever you're at, I want you to feel how being comfortable feels. Now, today, I want to introduce you to someone who, I truly admire. Yeah, and before I even met Nan, yeah, I knew that I would really enjoy, this guy's company. There was just something about the first few words that he shared when he sent me a message that just resonated. Have you ever met someone like that? Yeah, you just hear them speak and oh, this is somebody I can vibe with. And today, I'm going to have a very interesting discussion with Nanyang around how to apply the habits of high performance leadership in life and boxing. Yeah. And I know that he's there and he's ready. I just want to check in to see how everything is going with him. And I'm going to ask Dasso to just pin us on top of the screen so that, I can be present right here with him. And as everyone else is listening, as you're getting your own insights from our conversation, yeah, you can leave those in the chat. Yeah. Because sharing is caring. Hey, champ, what are you doing today?
I'm good. Good. Yeah, the pleasure is, I appreciate this opportunity. And then I resonate with what you said about just like since we met over a year and a half ago, just what you said on Monday Motivation really connected with me. And I sent you a voice message right away. And we connected from.
Well, Nan, it's been quite an interesting journey. I've had the privilege of seeing you grow into someone new. Yeah, and I think that was one of the most mind-blowing experience for me personally as a coach. Yeah, to witness your transformation. So I think the first question I want to ask is, tell us a bit about your journey, yeah, with high performance leadership and boxing.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna start at the beginning. So I'm a Chinese American. I was born in China and grew up in the beautiful city of Qingdao, where my parents are from. Raised by my grandparents all the way up until the age of 5, and from a young age, I'm was always into storytelling. Not sure if anyone's familiar with like the 4 great novels in China, like I know the Chinese name of it. I'm not sure, like Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Journey to the West. Yeah, so those I always made have my grandfather read it to me, and I always connected. At the age of 5, my parents and I immigrated to the U.S. and we settled down in Los Angeles. And so we lived there. I was raised there. Like I wouldn't say I was born there. I was born in China, but I was raised there and lived there for 22 years. I went to school locally there at UCLA, and it was just like a comfortable environment, and I got used to the American like lifestyle and also the culture and the ways of thinking. But one of my main challenges I realized is growing up in like a Chinese immigrant family. Many of the way they raised me and the messages at home kind of conflicted with how I heard the messages outside or what I was experiencing outside. So that was a conflict for me, and like it was a challenge that I dealt with. And then in 2016, I had the opportunity to come back to China for my master's program. I studied international education since university. Not my major. My major was anthropology, but more like my experiences were in the field of education, counseling, and mentorship. So I got that opportunity to be a counselor in Shanghai. And then I really liked that job. I really like that job still, in connecting one-on-one with students to help them with their writing and their personal statements. Yeah. So, and then like I'm also like one of my passions is fitness and wellness, and having the privilege to work with Coach Tim and also just like living like a balanced, healthy lifestyle. And right now, I'm an amateur boxer. I've been boxing for almost 10 years. I started like right after university, and then since I got to Shanghai almost 7 years ago, I have been competing. So I have almost like 20 amateur and white collar matches, and it's one of my goals for this year to have a professional match. Yeah, and then for my job, I really like it. It's related to writing and counseling students on their writing. So it's a lot of coaching as well, asking them powerful questions to develop their self-awareness. Yeah.
Mhm. That's a really interesting mix. There's a lot that just bubbled up for me as you shared, being an immigrant in America, in an immigrant family, and then the beliefs that, is entertained in the house conflicts a lot with the belief outside. And, being a writer who is a boxer, yeah, that you don't really see a lot of those combination, which is pretty interesting. My
Yeah.
question for you would be like, what was that catalyst that inspired you, yeah, to really get involved in that space of boxing? What inspired you?
Um, I mean, I've always been an athlete. I've been playing basketball since I was young for like 20 years. But then like the short answer of that, what was Manny Pacquiao? Like in university, it was when Manny Pacquiao, Filipino boxer, was really coming up, and then I love to watch his fights. But that time I wasn't training, so I didn't really see it. But I think to what you said about writing and boxing, and what I try to make my students realize is that even in these different fields, there's a lot of commonalities in between them. So one of my values is empathy and authenticity, and I could see both of these values showing up in both my writing, in my work communicating with students, and also in boxing. And also, yeah, you have to be authentic to yourself, and then also you got to be empathetic towards your opponent, right? Because he's experiencing the same thing, even though you're trying to inflict damage upon each other, right? But a lot of the time, I mean, those are the matches, which is just maybe 1% of the time, right? But 99% of the time, you're just training and sparring. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. It's interesting how you draw those parallel. I think one of the things that a lot of people who's outside of the ring don't see is that the amount of respect that fighters hold for each other in the ring, and
Yeah.
every punch or every kick is well received with love. If I want to say, if I must put it that way. And what
Yes.
I'm curious about now is, you mentioned those different beliefs or way of thinking in the household and outside, and then boxing is a big part of your life as well as creativity. How did some of those tools that you learned in this paradigm of boxing and writing, how did that help you overcome that challenge that you had there? Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good question, because I feel that I'm in my job, I'm always working with students one on one to get them to find their own story.
Hmm.
And many times, like on the outside, people seemingly have similar experiences, right? Including we're all foreigners from a foreign country, and some of us came to China to study, including myself, and some of us have jobs here as well. And then a lot of us are entrepreneurs, including myself. So, but that's just on the outside. But the reasons that we do something are different. So you mentioned the point that like I think that boxing is empathetic and authentic. Well, that's the reason why I do boxing, but that may not be for like everyone. That may not be for everyone. Some people may be in it for exercise. Some people may be in it to show that they're tough or something like that, and some people may be in it really to inflict damage on their opponents. It's for everyone's reason is different. And I would say the same thing with values. It gets a little bit deeper because, for example, what's empathy to me and authenticity to me is manifested in a different way than someone else who might also be empathetic and authentic. So it's just finding that little, like, as you said, listen to the differences is important. And I try to make my students find that. And that made me realize it within myself about why I'm doing it. So I realized all of this comes together for a life of balance as well, right? Because I have my career, I have parts that I like about it, but I have parts that I don't like about it. So those parts that aren't fulfilled, I try to find in other aspects that I like, such as my individual writing and also in my physical fitness and also boxing.
Yeah, yeah. I love the way you put that. And what would you say was the hardest challenge that you had to overcome, on this journey as you want to show up more authentically? Yeah, what it is in the ring, with your opponent or with your student or now being an entrepreneur. What would you say has been your biggest challenge?
I feel one of it is cultural, like Brian said, right? Like he mentioned the point about speaking up in the meetings. I also had trouble doing that at school because I think there's a very like hierarchy, and sometimes even though like maybe people don't want to listen to constructive criticism in that kind of environment, which I understand as well. Um, but I would just say that oh, I'm sorry, I forgot the question. Would you repeat the question?
That's okay.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
question was around your personal challenge and what was the biggest one that you had to overcome? And you start sharing some light on, the cultural dynamic of hierarchy in terms of speaking up and how it related to the previous speaker, Brian. So you can flow from there.
Yeah. I think the biggest reason is not to find validation and also justification from others, right? Because for example, in boxing, I have my own philosophy about and why I'm in it, right? But that may not be the same as someone else, right? But I don't have to defend myself or try to persuade them about my own opinion. And same thing with my job, right? As long as I work with my students, you know that's what's most important. Whether other people understand why I'm doing the job and how I'm doing it, to me, I don't think it's as important to explain if they're not even interested in finding out. Yeah.
Mm.
So, but I think everything, writing, boxing, or whatever you do, starts internally.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really big one. Really, because a lot of us we tend to look for that validation outside before we agree with our own ideas or the things that we want to do. And I think that's even something, person that lands personal for me through my own journey. What would you
Yeah.
say is the biggest lesson you have got from that, working through that?
Yeah. Well, I just like to preface by saying that I'm still working through it, right? Because I don't think it's really possible to just worry about what you're saying. Like most things in life, it's like a balance, right?
Mm.
But I think that the things that are really important to you, you really got to be authentic and say your
Mm.
own truth.
Mm.
And it's not your own truth to like everyone, but to say it to everyone who wants to hear it. And also, this is a golden nugget I picked up from like a conversation at Petco a few years ago when the last time I went back to the US. But it's just saying many people it's not what they don't want to hear, is they're not able to hear it. And I feel like that really, because I think superficially they could hear the words, right? But are they really able to hear it at that time? People listen to what they are able to process at that time. Yeah. So it's not what they want, it's kind of what they're able to. Yeah.
Mm. That's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
You made me remember when I wanted to be a speaker, and I was so afraid of what people would say when I'm on the stage, and this was something that really crippled me. And inside of I think it was this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, the author said that at the end of the day, most people don't go to bed thinking about you. Yeah, they're most often worried
Yeah.
about their own problem. So even when you're communicating your ideas or certain things as well, yeah, they're only processing, what they're going through and their beliefs. So that one is really big. And what advice would you give to someone right now, or those who are listening, who's actually, working through this particular challenge? Yeah, of who, and let me just highlight the challenge to make it clear. Really over caring about, other people perspective of them. so much so that it's crippling them from really tapping into their own values and their own beliefs and showing up authentically like how they would love to.
Yeah. I think one thing is that it comes with age, and like everything, and I learned this from you, it's like a constant practice, right? It's not just a switch that we say this, because I'm sure like everyone knows it, and it's in a lot of books and a lot of messages preach this as well, so it's nothing new. But you just have to constantly practice it. And I feel like one of the levels is that you have to get to a certain level of mastery in a certain aspect. And in this aspect, I think is about self mastery. So that has to deal with like your own self awareness, but also your skills and your accomplishments to a certain extent. And then knowing that you have this, then I think it's much easier for you to not care about what other people think, because I feel like I'm able to do that in some areas. Like for example, in my boxing and in my writing, right? I'm not the perfect writer. I think that other people have their own comments about about my writing, right? But then I have enough trust in myself to see that this is the right way for me, right? I'm not saying it's the right way for everyone, but it's the right way for me to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you mentioned practice, right? And this is something that you're going through. So that means right now you're in that practice stage. Yeah, what are some tools that makes it super easy for you to practice personally that other people can start, taking advantage of?
Yeah, I think I am in the practice stage, but I would say I will always be in the practice stage. Yeah, 'cause I will always be in the practice stage. And I would just say that leads to making it a lifestyle. And it's easier said than done, because you cannot make everything a lifestyle, right? But I would just say, and we talked about this a lot in our conversation, that less is more. That you have to be selective upon what is important to you, and then make that like a lifestyle, meaning it's like a daily practice, right? For example, in my writing, I do like your daily practice of my journaling, and also in my own writing as well, right? So I practice it on a daily basis. I teach students on a daily basis. Same with my boxing, right? And it doesn't have to be directly related to the boxing practice itself, right? It could be watching some YouTube videos. It could be going with my friends to watch a boxing fight, right? It could be talking to my coach or talking to some other boxing fans, right? So it's a lifestyle that I'm doing every single day. So incorporating it into a lifestyle, I would say, but be selective on what you want to incorporate. Find 2 or 3 things I suggest. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think what I'm hearing here is, we really be becoming aware of what you value and what's important to you, and make those things a major part of your lifestyle and who you're being.
Yes.
I think the major theme that I've been seeing for the entire session from most of the speakers as well is, is not everything that is achievable is important. Yeah, and for us, we need to find clarity around, what are our values? What is important to me? Yeah, and consciously, like Brian said, we gotta bring those unconscious values to the conscious level and focus on those. Yeah, and I honestly believe that's the path to living a more purposeful and fulfilled life. Yeah, personally.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Nan. Let's say we had a time machine here. Yeah, and you can step into this time machine and you can travel any particular time in the past. Yeah. When would you go back to, and what would you do differently?
Let me think about this. There's 2 points I'm thinking about. One, to reiterate like your previous point about the conflicts. Before, when I wasn't really self-aware, I kind of did what everyone else expected of me, particularly my parents, right? They're like, you should do this. You should join Boy Scouts. You should, take the swimming class, even though I wasn't passionate about those things, right? But I feel like as you develop more awareness, you can hone in on those few things that you like and that you're good at and you can get good at. Because I feel like if you like something and you put it into practice, you could get good at it. And that's, as you said, very important for living a fulfilled life. If I were to go back, I would go back to university, because I feel like I was going from a very structured environment in a Catholic school where like all the periods were laid out and then all the classes I had to take to like I went to UCLA. So it's a one of the biggest public schools, universities in America where where everyone had different majors, everyone had different goals. And then I felt lost, right? And then that was actually when I thought about high performance. Now I know, but that time it was just time management and I didn't really know how to manage my time with setting up my own schedule. So, and also I was afraid of like self judgment. So I joined some activities that maybe other people gave me validation to do, but I wasn't really passionate about. So with the self knowledge, self awareness, and also self love that I'm developing right now, I would go back to college. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that as you're saying that you can send some of those resources back, to your previous self, as you're learning
Yeah.
these. Yeah. And you mentioned high performance. What would you say was some of the biggest lessons you have learned, from your journey and developing some of these habits personally?
Yeah. And these habits that I'm going to say may seem a bit easy or simplistic, but it took me a while. It's a constant practice, as I said, and it took me a while of constantly reinforcement and seeing these apply in different areas and having success to really hone in and to get the effects because it's not an overnight thing. It's not an overnight shift. So I would say the ones that helped me the most, and there's a few, but I'm just going to keep it short, is take imperfect action. Before I was dealing with like overthinking and perfectionism, trying to make everything perfect. Like if I had this presentation with you, I would probably rehearse hours, get nervous like a week beforehand. But that's no longer the case. I've come a long way, right? And then I would say, and I'm going to put the next 2 points together, which is just having the courage to show up and be yourself. Showing up is half of it. And then having the courage to really express yourself and be there. To show up is half of it, and having the courage to take action is the other half. Um, and then I feel like another thing is focusing on your strengths because to apply like a boxing and basketball like analogy, right? I'm not like, for example, in basketball, like not the best ball handler, but so it's like my parents, my dad especially, he's also a basketball player, really said, well, you really need to focus all your effort into developing what you're not good at because your strengths will be there. But then I focused on but I got a basketball coach, right? I would have invested on a coach earlier in I wish we had met like 10 years ago then. But yeah, it's just focusing on your strengths, which my strengths was shooting and also defense. So just focusing on those one or two aspects really made me be an effective player on a team. And then I would say focusing on my strengths, and also two things that really help me is learning to say no, because applying less is more. Like you have only time and energy, more, not just time, but your energy to do things and to be fully committed to them. So just redirecting certain obligations or things has been really helpful to me. And as Coach Tim said, I was just making the consequences up in my head, right? About the consequences of saying no. And it's actually like we all have this spotlight effect, right? About what other people think about us, right? But the spotlight is never on you. It's not on you. And it takes time to realize that. But now I'm 34 years old. And then I want to tell everyone that's my age, older than me, younger than me, that there's no spotlight on you and people aren't really judging you,
Mm.
so you can do what you want. If they judge you, it's on them. But one, it's a very small percentage, and most of them are too worried, preoccupied about what they're doing anyway. So do what you want. And it's taken me, I wish I realized this a few decades ago.
Mm.
And then also a time management technique that I constantly use on a daily basis that has helped me is something called Parkinson's law, which is setting like a deadline for yourself. So um so for example, I have a driver, it's one of those tuk-tuk drivers that stops by my house. But part of the reason I use him, besides the fact that I don't have to deal with traffic and things like that, is that I call him to come here at a certain time, right? So maybe after this presentation, I'll call him to come in 20 minutes. Well, in this 20 minutes, I'm going to set myself a goal to do something, right? To reply to some WeChat messages, and things like that. Maybe to wash the dishes, like Akil said, right? So it's just having that artificial deadline for yourself throughout the day has really helped me. And also that applies to a greater extent, right? Like I'm going to have a boxing match in like 6 weeks, right? So I have 6 weeks to get to a certain amount of weight. I have 6 weeks to get ready for an opponent, right? The date is already set, the opponent's already set. So I have 6 weeks in order to get there. And not everything's going to be perfect, right? I have my career, my relationships and social obligations as well, but I need to devote certain amount of time each day to my boxing practice in order to get ready. So setting an artificial deadline, whether it's immediate or a few weeks, months, or years away, has been really helpful.
That's really beautiful. And Nan, I keep on telling you this, but I just gotta say it again, man. I'm so proud of you. You are a living embodiment of everything that you have just shared. And as you continue to shop more consistently, and that message, I hope that was received. Yeah, and for those who are listening who would like to connect with you personally, what it is they want to really take things up a notch in their writing creatively, they want to connect just to learn more about who Nanyang is, how can they do that?
Sure. So I'm launching my writing coaching practice. So some of it will be academic writing, but what I work with my students, I find that a lot because I work at a bilingual school and all of them want to apply abroad. I find that many of them have high test scores and have a pretty good understanding of like sentence structure and grammar. But what I help them is through coaching to develop their own self-awareness and to get that down into writing. And the two main questions is how and why, right? Rather than what, when, who, right? Because those are more on the surface level. But like I said, it starts internally and it starts with those questions, how and why you do something. So that applies to everything we do, to writing, to the activities you do, to the relationships you have. It's how and why you do it rather than what you do. Yeah, so I'm gonna launch that in the coming months, but you can connect with me. Probably the easiest way is through WeChat, and I'll leave it in the chat group.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nan, for your authentic energy. I felt it just here talking to you, and I know that everyone who's listening felt that as well. And if I look in the chat, I see Valentine said, delivering authentic chaos. Yeah, awesome. And I see Akil as well, preach. Not that you don't want to hear, but what they're able to hear. And then Dassel said, Golden Nugget, make the practice a lifestyle. And then Alicia said, yeah, to journaling. Mateo is from UC as well. Yeah, he went to UC Davis. Was one of the greatest time of my life. Awesome. And then I see another Golden Nugget from Valentine. Drawing parallels between boxing and writing is brilliant, especially trusting oneself and not seeking validation from others due to different values. Less is more. And you can go and see all the insight that has been shared in the chat there for you, champ. And let's keep on leveling up together. And I just want to thank each and every one of you who have joined us over the last 2 days. Yeah, I know Alicia was here yesterday and she's here as well, really bringing that creative energy, and the work that she does is super, super valuable to each of us as well. I see Tej, Nadine, Jovens as well, Ole, Jenny as well, and Matt, Akil, everybody who have joined the session. I see Colin as well and Sabs. I really want to appreciate you for being with us over the last 2 days. And it's truly just been an honor to serve. Yeah, and I just want to remind you of what the vision is. Yeah, just imagine a world where every young high achiever has a high-performing leader to guide them to success. Yeah, this is the reality that my mission is to create this world. And one of the reasons why I want to create this world is because one of my biggest burning questions has always been, how can I prepare my children, for a world that can be so cruel and so loving at the same time? And I believe that having mentors and having coaches, who's able to guide you through that journey is the biggest investment ever. And as I said, this is a part of my mission, by cultivating a community, a passionate community of high-performing leaders and equipping them with the tools, the habit, and the support that they need to inspire the next generation. And who's the next generation? I am the next generation. You're the next generation. My kids, your kids. Yeah, and we're going to create that ripple effect to finally eradicate mental poverty and truly maximize abundance. And just on a note as well, for those of you who are cleared near to Zhejiang and Hangzhou, on the 10th of June, we'll be having an offline event where some of these leaders will be there as well. So if you want to come and connect with me, just connect with me personally, whether it's via WeChat, Instagram, wherever you are, holla at your boy. I'll truly love to meet you in person and really create some magic with you personally. Also, if you forget, just to remind you that my next cohort of Level Up to Launch will be starting very soon. Yeah, that's in the next 2 weeks. And if you haven't grabbed your clarity session as yet, for those of you who have already checked out the clarity session, I'm looking forward to engaging with you. Just send me a DM, Level Up, and I'll truly love to connect and see if you'll make a great fit. Now, this has been a truly awesome experience. And I want to, for those of you who would love to take a screenshot with us, a picture, I'll just invite you to turn your camera on as we commemorate the second Level Up to Launch Virtual Summit. And just appreciate you for being here. Yeah? So I'll ask Dassel to do the screenshot if she doesn't mind. Dassel, would you like to do that? Yeah?
Come on, guys. Let's show us some beautiful faces. It will take just 5 seconds. Quick, quick, quick. I'll give you guys 10, 9, 8,
Okay, remember what
7, 6. Come on, guys. Open up, open up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cheese, cheese. One last. Yes, got it. Thank you all.
Guys, have a wonderful Sunday. Remember, pick up yourself. Every day is a day for you to level up. I just want to appreciate everybody. Let's get it. Let's go. And I'll see you when I see you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Thanks so much for this, Dino. Y'all have a good weekend.